Douluo, at the beginning, I signed with the martial spirit of the god of death. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126 The Great War. The main target of Contra is Tang-san among the Shrek 7 monsters. Just now Tang-san used hidden weapons to almost eliminate the ordinary men in black around Shrek Academy. Even the lower-level soul masters in black were also defeated by Tang-san's hidden weapon explosion. This moment attracted Contra's attention. If Tang-san were allowed to continue killing like this, I'm afraid things would change and this weird kid would have to be dealt with. When Contra rushed towards the Shrek 7 monsters, Tang-san and others had already noticed him. Tang-san shouted in a deep voice, "You guys retreat." The other 6 people retreated without any hesitation. Tang-san immediately took out 6 Zimu soul-chasing life-destroying gallbladders and threw them towards Contra, and then quickly retreated. After all, Contra was too confident, and actually ignored his son and mother's pursuit of souls and life, and only wanted to kill Tang-san quickly. As a result, 6 soul-chasing and life-killing gallbladders collided quietly in the air. In an instant, a large cloud of poisonous mist filled the air. Hidden in the poisonous mist, there were countless needles with only slender hairs, but they were made of iron. A huge curtain was formed with a terrifying poison. Incomparably powerful soul power fluctuations erupted instantly, and Dapeng's poisonous needles swept towards Contra. Contra was shocked for a moment. He had never seen such a weird skill before. He immediately used his soul power to defend himself and rushed out of the poisonous mist at an accelerated speed. The poisonous mist and poisonous needle did not cause substantial damage to Contra, but they also made Contra break into a cold sweat. If that boy were stronger, I might not be able to escape so easily. It seems that I need to be more cautious in my actions in the future. Today I almost capsized in the gutter. Also, this kid must be killed. After Contra rushed out of the poisonous mist, he immediately rushed towards Tang-san again. Moreover, the martial soul's true form was directly activated. Golden light burst out from Contra's body. As his arms oscillated in the air, they turned into a pair of golden wings. An even larger golden light and shadow appeared behind him, and his clothes were replaced by golden feathers. The true appearance of Wuhan was revealed. It turned out to be a golden eagle. While the wings were taking shape, Contra's arms had separated from the wings and turned into 2 sharp eagle claws. At the same time, his body also began to shrink and change rapidly, becoming more and more like the golden eagle illusion behind him. 8 dazzling soul rings linger around his body, 3 yellow, 2 purple and 3 black, which is already a very good combination of soul rings. The terrifying aura spread from the huge golden eagle and soon swept over the Shrek 7 devils, creating a truly suffocating feeling. The time that the mother and son chased souls and fought for their lives was very limited for Tang-san. At this time, Tang-san was also sighing why his strength could not be stronger. This feeling of powerlessness in the face of the strong made people really despair. Tang-san looked back at his teammates, without too much hesitation, wanting to drag that Contra as much as possible with his own body, even if the final result was death. As Tang-san retreated, he began to throw out various hidden weapons. Even if those hidden weapons didn't have much effect on Contra, he was also using his own soul skills, but they didn't have much effect at all. He couldn't even delay it. In the face of absolute strength, his so-called control was simply a joke. If he is here, he will definitely be able to protect everyone. A familiar figure suddenly flashed across Tang-san's mind, and when he looked at Contra again, he had already made up his mind. When you are not around, I will be your guardian. If you want to hurt them, just step over me first. Corpse. The Shrek 7 monsters were no cowards. Seeing that they and others had no hope of escaping, and seeing Tang-san's determination to fight to the death, they did not retreat any further and prepared for the final battle. Even if they know that they and others have no hope at all. Liu Erlong and Flanders were already extremely anxious, but it was to no avail. The purpose of the 2 soul saints was to hold them back. When they reached the level of soul saints and above, as long as the difference in strength was not too disparate, they would be able to temporarily. It is more difficult to determine the winner in the semifinals. I've told you to bring that guy Xiao Wuji with you, but you don't believe me. Liu Erlong roared angrily, and used a palm of his hand to open up the armored turtle soul master he was fighting with, but the opponent quickly stuck to him again. unable to get rid of it at all. Flender's expression turned extremely ugly. He already has a problem with the Wuhan Palace. If he goes to the Wuhan Palace, wouldn't he be destined to die? It's better for him to die than for the little monsters to die on the way. Liu Erlong's expression has become more and more ferocious. Attacking type soul masters are most afraid of this type of defensive type soul master. There is nothing you can do against him. Even if his strength exceeds a level, he can still hold you back with his terrifying defense. Very disgusting. At this time, Flanders opened his opponent again and growled, "Are you really going to sit back and do nothing?" Contra is getting closer and closer to the Shrek 7 Devils, and it won't take a few breaths to catch up. As for the resistance of the Shrek 7 Devils, that's a joke. After Flanders' low roar came out, a slender old man suddenly appeared in front of the Shrek 7 Devils. He easily held a crutch that was more than 4 meters long, with a solemn expression. On him, the same thing happened. There are 8 soul rings shining. "Long time no see, Brother Ying, how are you?" After the old man appeared, his soft aura spread out from his body, taking a lot of pressure off the Shrek 7 Devils. With a faint smile on his face, he looked up at the huge golden eagle in the sky. This person is none other than Longang Mengshu. "Mengshu, please stop meddling in other people's business." The golden eagle in the sky made an extremely gloomy voice, carrying a strong aura of threat. At this moment, the snake woman Zhao Xiangxiang rushed over with Meng Yiren. When the unparalleled dragon and snake merged, they immediately surpassed the golden eagle in the sky in terms of momentum. "Brother Ying, look, my granddaughter is here too. Those little dolls are my granddaughter's friends. I have to take action," Duke Long said calmly. Golden Eagle did not waste any more words with Duke Long Mengshu. The other party made it clear that he wanted to get involved in this matter. It would be useless to talk more. He directly launched an attack, like a golden blade rushing straight towards Duke Long. "You will regret it." Golden Eagle was not afraid of the unparalleled dragon snake at all, and he never thought about having to fight to the death with the unrivaled dragon snake. Whenever there was a chance, he would just kill those young people. "Yiren, go meet Tang San and the others." Snake Woman threw Meng Yiren back and directly into the Shrek 7 monsters, and then immediately joined forces with Duke Long to fight against the Golden Eagle. Both Snake Woman and Longang knew the origin of the Golden Eagle, and knew that this incident would bring endless trouble to both of them, but even so, they had to do this. This is not for the so-called morality, but purely for profit. They are more aware of the immeasurable future of the little monsters behind them. It is rare to have such a good opportunity to gain favors. Of course, they must cherish it. When they become stronger in the future, if they want to be related to them again, I am afraid it will be difficult to reach the sky. Period. In fact, Duke Long also hesitated, but after hearing Flanders' voice, he no longer had any hesitation. They don't go up, but some people do. And just as the unparalleled dragon snake and the golden eagle were fighting, a white figure suddenly came to the Shrek 7 Devils, and a strange laughter came from the white man's mouth. "I didn't expect today to be so exciting." Chapter 127. As soon as the man in white appeared, all the powerful men present were stunned. The unparalleled dragon snake even showed an extremely frightened expression. He wanted to turn around immediately to protect his granddaughter and the Shrek 7 monsters, but how could the golden eagle give it to them? Chance for 2. The Shrek 7 monsters and Meng Yiren, who had just arrived in the team, all showed expressions of despair after feeling the terrifying aura on the man in white. This person is definitely not a soul saint or a soul master at the soul Douluo level, but a title Douluo. The man in white walked slowly towards the Shrek 7 Devils and the others. They couldn't even retreat instinctively. The terrifying pressure had almost suffocated them. Only one person subconsciously retreated, and she immediately attracted the attention of the man in white. "Hey, you can actually ignore my barrier." The man in white smiled unexpectedly, the tip of his nose moved slightly, and surprise suddenly bloomed in his eyes. "Love sickness red, yes, love sickness red." The figure of the man in white left a shadow in the air, and instantly arrived in front of Xiao Wu. He became extremely excited. "Oh my god, it's actually the color of love sickness." Before the excited voice could finish, the man in white grabbed Xiao Wu with his big hand. In an instant, countless cold lights bloomed, and Tang San frantically used various hidden weapons in a final struggle. The man in white waved his hand and directly flew away Tang San and his hidden weapons. That is to say, the man in white's attention was basically on Xiao Wu. If he had exerted a little more force just now, Tang San would have turned into blood mist and dispersed. Title Douluo's strength is no joke. No matter how powerful the soul sect is, it is just an ant in front of Title Douluo. Tang San only delayed the man in white for less than a second. The man in white had already stretched out his hand in front of Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu could no longer move and could only look at the man in white with horror. Call. Suddenly a gust of wind hit the man in white, and a huge black sword fell from the sky. The man in white retreated immediately. This was not something he could handle easily. Chong. The black giant sword landed where the man in white was just now. If the man in white did not retreat, he would not be able to defend himself in such a short period of time, and he would probably be seriously injured as a result. In fact, the man in white also wanted to take Xiao Wu away with him, but the moment the black giant sword appeared, several 2-meter-tall stone giants suddenly appeared around Xiao Wu, protecting Xiao Wu behind him like knights. The long black whip flew from afar, wrapped around Xiao Wu's waist with the gentlest force, and took Xiao Wu away in an instant. A black figure quietly appeared on top of the giant sword, and a larger stone man appeared in front of the stone giant. A beautiful figure holding a black whip quickly came from behind. The man in white looked at the three people who suddenly appeared, with confusion and shock in his eyes. Before the man in white could react, a huge wolf claw poked out from the ground and almost caught the man in white. And also, the man in white immediately activated his martial spirit while retreating. Purple light filled the air, and a huge chrysanthemum appeared in the hand of the man in white. It was the strange velvet giant chrysanthemum. 9 soul rings lingered around his body, and a terrifying aura spread. Come on. The moment the man in white left, an extremely strong werewolf rushed out from the ground. The black figure on the giant sword and the stone figure all have 7 best-matched soul rings suspended on their bodies, symbolizing the strength of their soul saints. However, their soul rings all have a touch of gray in color, especially the 3rd ring of the black figure. The 7 soul rings were all gray and looked extremely strange. The beautiful figure holding a long whip and the werewolf rushing out from the ground had 8 terrifying soul rings floating on their bodies, making them even more powerful. Suddenly, 2 soul saints and 2 soul Douluo appeared. While the man in white was surprised, his expression was extremely ugly. At this moment, a void figure suddenly appeared next to the white figure, and a cold voice sounded, "It's getting more and more interesting. You still have the nerve to say that if you come out early, everything will be solved." Yu Guan said in a deep voice. The ghost smiled coldly, "Do you think I don't want to? Those guys didn't even take action. If I come out, they will definitely not sit idly by. On the other hand, you clearly had a good opportunity, but you wasted it." Yu Guan said calmly, "Stop saying those useless words. What's your purpose of showing up now?" Ghost said, "Aren't you in trouble that you can solve? I can't possibly watch you die in front of me." "Oh, just a few of them." Yu Guan said disdainfully. Ghost looked very serious. "Yes, there are just a few of them. Isn't it strange that you can't feel the breath on their bodies?" "I feel it, you don't need to say it." Yu Guan still disagreed. The ghost said in a deep voice, "Then stop talking nonsense, let's take action together, and solve everything before those guys show up, otherwise the mission will be ruined." While talking, Yu Guan and Gui Mei were already taking action. To be precise, they were forced to take action. Guangzhougang, holding a demon-slaying sword, and Duan Xiao, who was holding a black whip, rushed towards Yu Guan, while Liang Hao and Yu Yao rushed towards the ghosts, and the battle was about to break out. Behind him, Xiao Wu stood there in a daze. The danger was over, everything happened so fast that she couldn't react. At this moment, a tall figure came to Xiao Wu's side, and a soft and familiar voice sounded, "I'm back." When Xiao Wu heard this, her body trembled slightly, and then she turned back sharply. Chen Luo, wearing a black combat uniform, stood there, looking at her with a faint smile. Xiao Wu rushed directly towards Chen Luo, hugging Chen Luo tightly, and her tears kept falling. Chen Luo gently stroked Xiao Wu's back. "It's okay, I'm back, no one can hurt you." Xiao Wu raised her head and looked at Chen Luo. With tears in her eyes, she choked and said, "I miss you so much." "Chen Luo, I miss you too." Both of them knew that this was not the time for romance. After embracing each other, they separated and looked at the situation ahead together. At this time, Shrek's other little monsters and Meng Yiren all ran over. Everyone was very happy and excited to see Chen Luo back. Meng Yiren was an outsider after all. She just stood aside and silently watched the scene where Chen Luo reunited with the Shrek monsters. The injured Tang San was much better after eating Oscar's sausage. As soon as he saw Chen Luo, he showed an apologetic smile. I failed to protect everyone. You've done a great job. The danger has not been eliminated, the time for greetings is limited after all, and the men in black are constantly launching attacks. Although Shrek and the others have escaped the danger of the tidal Douluo, they still have to face a large number of men in black inevitably. The addition of Chen Luo undoubtedly gave Shrek's little monsters an instant backbone, and their combat effectiveness seemed to have improved a lot, mainly due to Chen Luo's stimulation. Chen Luo didn't activate his martial soul when dealing with ordinary men in black. Even the men in black who were at the Soul Master and Soul Sect level could still kill without fail. When facing the Soul King, Chen Luo only activated his martial soul, but it was only an instant. Killing the opponent instantly is not at the same level of combat effectiveness. Compared to the battle on Chen Luo's side, the battle between Guangzhonggang and the other undead souls and the ghosts of Yuguan was really fierce. Guangzhonggang and the others were all fighting with a life-threatening style, and their soul power was recovered very quickly, and their injuries were also recovered at a terrifying speed, which gave Yuguan and Gui Mei a headache. It was only at this time that Yuguan believed what the ghost said. If the ghost hadn't appeared and he had faced these crazy guys alone, he might really have told the truth here. But a tidal Douluo is a tidal Douluo after all, and the combat power of two tidal Douluo is even more terrifying, far from being as simple as 1 + 1, but directly doubled. Yuguan and Gimei still have a steady advantage when facing the undead such as Guangzhonggang. If they are given a certain amount of time, they will definitely be able to deal with these guys, but they will also pay a heavy price for it. And what they lack most now is time. The battle did not last long, as others soon joined it. First, the old poisoner Douluo appeared in the form of the Jade Phosphorus Snake King, and then Kendo Chenzin, holding a long sword and dressed in white, appeared. They finally took action. In fact, Douluo had long wanted to take action, but he knew very well the strength gap between himself and Yuguan and Gui Mei. If he couldn't find a suitable opportunity to carry out a sneak attack, he was afraid that his final result would be death. Of course, if Tang San encountered absolute danger, he would still step forward. When Yuguan attacked Tang San, he had already relieved Tang San of a lot of power in the dark, otherwise Tang San would not have been able to stand up again so easily. Seeing the participation of Douluo and especially Chen Xin, Yuguan and Gui Mei took the initiative to leave the battle without any hesitation. Haha, ha, you have nothing to worry about, right? We will remember today's debt, and we will definitely get it back before long. Yuguan laughed angrily, and then he and the ghosts evacuated. When all the men in black saw Yuguan and the ghosts leaving, they immediately evacuated like a tide. Guangzhonggang, who was a bit superior, originally wanted to pursue him, but finally stopped his action under Chen Luo's order. Tidal Douluo can't be so easy to kill. The variability of pursuit is too great, so there is no need to take such a big risk. Besides, if Douluo and Chen Xin don't take action, it is not certain who will kill whom. After the battle, Guangzhonggang and others returned to Chen Luo. What was a bit surprising was that Douluo and Chen Xin also came over. It's understandable that Douluo came over. After all, he had a good relationship with Tang San and came to visit Tang San. But did Chen Xin come here to see Ning Rongrong? Not really. Under the gaze of everyone, Chen Xin walked straight towards Guangzhonggang, and finally stopped in front of Guangzhonggang. Guangzhonggang. Chen Xin's mood fluctuated greatly, and you could hear his excitement at this time just from his voice. Others were fine when they saw this scene, but Ning Rongrong was extremely shocked. This was the first time since she was a child that she saw Grandpa Jian's mood fluctuating so much. After Guangzhonggang saw Chen Xingxin coming, a complicated smile appeared on his face unconsciously. Long time no see, senior brother. Yet, long time no see. Chen Xin's big hand fell heavily on Guangzhonggang's shoulder, and a smile appeared on his face. Chapter 128. The wine has not changed, the people have not changed. So, that level 96 peak Douluo is really your senior brother. Duan Xiao looked at Guangzhonggang in disbelief, as did several other people, including Chen Luo. At this time, Chen Luo and his undead brothers came to a relatively open area and were digesting the scene where Guangzhonggang met Chen Xin's old friend just now. Guangzhonggang smiled awkwardly. Yes, I don't have to lie to you. Besides, I can't lie to the master. That was all many years ago. Back then, my brother, my senior brother, and I were extremely outstanding swordsman geniuses. Unfortunately, I later went astray, and my brother went his own way. From then on, the three of us went our separate ways until I was killed. Then who is the titled Douluo with the sword who killed you back then? Was he your master? Or was he your senior brother? Duan Xiao asked. Guangzhongyang said, our sect is not the only one who uses swords. There were many kendo sects back then, but later they became lonely. Even our sect only has one senior brother left now. The person who killed me back then was the leader of another sect. He hated evil all his life. He was barely a good person, but he was a little stubborn. Otherwise, I wouldn't have died in his hands, and he wouldn't have died either. It's in my brother's hands. Didn't your senior brother save you back then? He is in seclusion. If you were here, I would most likely not die. Okay, I didn't expect a waste like you to have so many strong people around you. Duan Xiao curled his lips. Guangzhongyang shrugged, if I hadn't died back then, I would be in the realm of a titled Douluo now. Old woman, in terms of talent, I would be countless times better than you. TCH, it's a pity that there is no if. Duan Xiao seemed disapproving. But the boss gave me another chance. Even as an undead, I can still reach the peak. Just wait and see, old woman. Guangzhongyang clenched his fists and said. Duan Xiao smiled and said, then come on. Guangzhongyang looked at Chen Luo, Master, I have finished what I need to say. I want to go get together with my senior brother. Go, don't think of yourself as a real undead spirit. As long as you don't mess around, you will have absolute freedom outside. Chen Luo waved his hand. Guangzhongyang glanced at Chen Luo gratefully, and then went in a certain direction, seeming to have made an appointment with Sword Dao Luo Chengsen. Looking at Guangzhongyang's leaving figure, a faint smile appeared on Chen Luo's face. Chen Luo never expected that the undead evil soul master he unexpectedly gained would have such a huge amount of energy in his back. First, there is brother Douluo, who has been living in the killing city and has obtained the realm of the god of death, and then there is senior brother Sword Douluo, who is more powerful. Good guy, he was the worst, and he even got himself confused. If Guangzhongyang had not come into contact with the evil soul master back then and had not gone astray, he might have become a powerful man at the level of a titled Douluo. And Guangzhongyang's talent is completely visible. When he woke up, Guangzhongyang was just a soul emperor. Now he is a level 73 soul saint. It has only been a short time, but the speed of the soul power level is increasing very fast. He was a genius in swordsmanship. I really look forward to what he will look like when he grows up. After retracting his unrestrained thoughts, Chen Luo's eyes fell on Duan Xiao and others. When we meet those people later, please do not call me master, nor boss, just call me by name. Yes. Duan Xiao and others nodded in unison. Everyone has an extremely exciting past, and most of them look back with complicated expressions. Guangzhongyang was also very surprised when he saw Chen Xin. He never thought that he and his senior brother would meet again, let alone that they would meet again in such a scene. Under the big tree, Chen Xin and Guangzhongyang were sitting on the roots, drinking and chatting. Chen Xin was dressed in a white robe, with white beard and hair. His appearance was simple, and his face was as delicate as a baby. In the past, he had an indifferent and self-centered expression, but now his face was full of smiles, and he looked like a doting elder brother. Guangzhongyang is dressed in black, and his appearance has been fixed on his middle-aged appearance. At first glance, he looks very ordinary, but if you look at him for a while, you can also see some elegance in his face. After his resurrection, except for seeing his brother, he was so excited and happy just now. Guangzhongyang drank the extremely familiar wine and couldn't help but sigh, I really miss this taste. I didn't expect that you can brew this kind of wine, senior brother. The craftsmanship is not as good as it used to be, and I am the only one who mainly drinks. Chen Xin smiled calmly. Guangzhongyang took a sip of wine, and then said with a smile, when I have the opportunity in the future, I will often ask you to drink with me, senior brother. You should prepare more, so that you don't run out of drinks. A Fei is coming too? Chen Xin asked with a smile. Guangzhongyang nodded vigorously, well, he is here too, and he is not dead. Where do you think he has been hiding for so many years? The city of killing. Chen Xin said calmly. Guangzhongyang was a little surprised. Elder brother, how do you know? How do you think a Fei survived to enter the killing city? Chen Zin smiled lightly. Guang's Hongyang suddenly realized, it turns out that you are helping him, senior brother. I am also very confused. With my brother's strength, it is impossible to escape from that sect's pursuit. After Fei entered the killing city, I destroyed that sect. Chen Zinayan said lightly. Guang's Hongyang was stunned when he heard this, and then took a big gulp of wine. Didn't you already? Chen Zin said. Yes, he's dead. Guang's Hongyang nodded directly without any cover-up. Is this also the ability of evil soul masters? Chen Zin asked. No, that's right. Me standing in front of you is the best proof. Guang's Hongyang originally wanted to tell his master's affairs, but when he thought of his senior brother's temper, he decided to forget it. I can see that you have an unusual relationship with that boy. Chen Zin said. Even if Guang's Hongyang didn't say anything, he could see some clues. Guang's Hongyang immediately said, he is my savior. Without him, I would not be able to be resurrected. After saying that, Guang's Hongyang immediately changed the subject. Senior brother, master, he. Guang's Hongyang vaguely remembered that his master had been in retreat, impacting on a more powerful level. He's already dead, Chen Zin said calmly. Killed by whom? Guang's Hongyang's voice instantly turned cold. He knew his master's strength and character. If he hadn't been killed by others, he would definitely still be alive today. Chen Zin smiled and spoke, as if he was talking about a very ordinary thing. He challenged a level 99 title Douluo, lost, and then died. He also told me that I could not challenge for revenge, but only for the sake of revenge. I have tried to improve myself and take on challenges, but I have never been strong enough and cannot meet the requirements my father said. Who is he? Guang's Hongyang seemed to already know the answer, but he still asked. Jin Douluo. Chen Zin spoke slowly. Guang's Hongyang's voice became even more gloomy. Oh, it really is him. I will kill him. Guang's Hongyang said seriously. You are still the same as before. Chen Zin smiled. Guang's Hongyang also smiled. Elder brother, haven't you never changed? Chen Luo and his party had returned to the place where the fighting had just occurred, and the post-war settlement was almost done. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 Martial Soul City. The setting sun splashes on the path between the two mountains, adding a touch of dusk to everything, but the picture is not beautiful at all. The blood gathered into small streams and eventually flowed into low-lying areas, forming pools of blood. The air was filled with a strong smell of blood, making people nauseous after smelling it. The battlefield has been almost cleaned. All the bodies of the men in black have been taken away by the retreating men in black. No body is left here. They are very cautious and professional. At the Soul Master Academy, many students died, and some teachers also died. After all, the men in black's attack was too fierce, and those with less strength could not withstand it. Several Soul Master colleges had already returned with the corpses of students or teachers from their colleges with extremely sad and angry hearts. They went to Wuhan City for the Senior Soul Master Elite competition. Now that everyone is gone, they are still relatively small. They should go back to deal with the funeral affairs as soon as possible. If the body is well preserved, they can take it back. If the body is not well preserved, they can only stay on the spot. Burying it is impossible. The Xiao Royal Knights suffered heavy losses. There are many ordinary people in the Knights. How can ordinary people be the opponents of Soul Masters? Even if they have received professional training and their strength and skill are far superior to ordinary people, they will not be able to compete with powerful Soul Masters. There was nothing in front of me. The Royal Knights, who originally numbered 500, now had less than half left. Most of the remaining Knights are Soul Masters, and there are very few ordinary people. Those who can survive are those who are strong enough. Even if they suffered heavy losses, the Royal Knights were still able to quickly adjust their formation. They were all like machines. Death was a common occurrence in front of them and it did not affect them at all. As long as they still had breath, they would do their duty. Under Zhu King's command, everything after the battle was handled in an orderly manner. In less than an hour, everyone was on the road to Wuhan City again. Chen Luo brought Duan Xiao and other undead souls to the carriage where Shrek Academy was located. Of course, Chen Luo sat with Xiao Wu. The two hadn't seen each other for a long time and were leaning away from each other without caring about the feelings of others. Duan Xiao and the others were sitting on the other side, very close to Chen Luo, but they would not disturb Chen Luo. It has to be said that this special carriage is still very large, and even if it can accommodate so many people, it does not look crowded at all. Flanders and Liu Erlong kept their eyes on Duan Xiao and the others, making Duan Xiao and the others a little embarrassed. Before Flanders and the others could ask questions, Duan Xiao took the initiative and said, "We are all friends of Chen Luo. We became friends because of some things. We accompanied him to find you. We just happened to encounter what happened just now. Of course we have to help." Although the reason was a bit far-fetched, it was still a reason. Flanders and the others did not ask any more questions, they just smiled politely and each introduced themselves. Duan Xiao and the others also responded politely. They were all people who had gone through a lot, and it was easy to get along with others, even though their personalities were relatively cold. After a brief conversation, Duan Xiao and the others immediately stated their intentions. "It is inevitable that we will encounter danger again on the road. Let's accompany little friend Chen Luo to Wuhan City. We also have something to do." Of course Flanders and the others were overjoyed, it couldn't be better. "It's a pity that we are all in a hurry and can't entertain you properly." Duan Xiao smiled and said, "You don't have to be so polite." Seeing Duan Xiao's calm expression, Chen Luo secretly breathed a sigh of relief. He was worried that his undead brothers would cause trouble for him, but fortunately, they were better arranged than imagined. In fact, it was mainly due to their strength. Both Duan Xiao and Yu Yao were Soul Douluo, and Wei Liang Hao was also at the Soul Saint level. As long as they were strong enough, it would be easy to talk about anything. As long as the strength is strong enough, in many aspects, there is no need to consider everyone's feelings. On the contrary, most people have to be treated politely. Flanders and Liu Erlong also tentatively asked Duan Xiao about their origins, but after Duan Xiao cleverly changed the subject, Flanders and the others were wise enough not to mention those topics again. They are all topics with little nutrition, mainly to relieve embarrassment. On Chen Luo's side, Xiao Wu was leaning on his arm. Although the two of them didn't speak much, their intimate movements could already express too many things. Shrek's other little monsters did not disturb the two of them until Chen Luo took the initiative to ask about everyone's situation. "We are all fine, except Xiao Wu, who has suffered a lot and looks forward to the return of her beloved brother every day," Daimube said with a smile. Then, there was some reminiscing about old times. "There aren't many topics to talk about, it's just changes in strength and the like. Everyone has spent the past year basically cultivating, and the Senior Soul Master Elite competition is something to talk about, but it's just casually mentioned." Chen Luo's experience made everyone curious, but Chen Luo only briefly talked about his experience in the Killing City, and did not mention anything else, especially the undead. When asked about Chen Luo's current strength, even though the Shrek monsters were mentally prepared, after hearing the answer, a look of surprise appeared on everyone's face. Flanders and Liu Erlong on one side were also shocked, their eyes focused on Chen Luo. "It's only been less than a year, and you're already the Soul King? How on earth did you, a little monster, practice?" Flanders couldn't help but sigh. Duan Xiao and the others looked very calm, even a little proud. They were particularly confident in their master's strength, even higher than their confidence in their own strength. Tang San was not on Shrek Academy's carriage. He was taken to talk by Douluo. The main target of Wuhan Palace's trip was Tang San. Tang San's identity was so special that it had attracted the attention of Wuhan Palace. I have to say that Bibi Dong was very far-sighted. She knew that she would take advantage of Tang San when he was weak, but it was a pity that she failed. There is no way, after all, he is the protagonist. If he didn't even have this halo of the protagonist, the whole drama would have ended long ago. Chen Luo didn't think that his appearance had changed too many things. Even if he hadn't come here at that time and asked Gong Zhonggang and the others to take action, it is estimated that Poison Douluo Douluo and Sword Douluo Chengxin would have taken action. This was destined thing, unless Tang San is brave enough to fight against Yu Guan and Ji Yuimei on his own. To be honest, Chen Luo had never worried about Tang San's safety from the beginning. He was mainly worried about his little dance party being harmed. As expected, if he had been slower, Xiao Wu would have been controlled by Yu Guan. When meeting the crowd, Chen Luo also saw Zhu King among the crowd. Zhu King was more delicate than he imagined. Of course Chen Luo knew the true identity of Zhu King under that face, Jin Rixu. He didn't try to expose it, and there was no need to expose it. It might not be a good thing to expose some things too early. The next morning, Guangzi Hongyan came back. It could be seen that the former swordsman genius Evil Soul Master was having a great time chatting with his senior brother, and his whole person was filled with joy. Tang San never returned to Shrek Academy during the rest of his journey. Instead, Du Yubo and Chen Xin were waiting for him. Ning Fengzi still had a very vicious vision and could always make accurate bets. Even if he was the enemy of Wuhan Palace, he still had to protect Tang San. After traveling for several days, the team of spirit masters from the Xiandao Empire finally arrived at Wuhan City. Chapter 130. A good place. Standing on the top floor of the hotel, Chen Luo and Guangzi Hongyan looked at Wuhan City's landmark buildings, the Pope's Palace and the Douluo Palace. Although Wuhan City is not big, even bigger than Soto City, it is built according to the specifications of the capital. It is also built on the mountain, with a hexagonal appearance. On the mountainside is the Pope's Palace, and on the top of the mountain is the Douluo Palace. Luo Dian. The Pope's Palace is completely columnar structure, dome, and the facade of the building is covered with the golden material, which shimmers and shines under the sunlight. The most eye-catching thing is the Papal Palace. Even from a distance, you can feel its magnificence. However, Chen Luo and Guangzi Hongyan did not focus too much on the Pope's Palace. They both looked at the Douluo Palace on the top of the mountain. The architectural style of the Douluo Palace is similar to that of the Pope's Palace, except that its appearance is wide and its size is not as large as that of the Pope's Palace. It is far less eye-catching than the Pope's Palace. Chen Luo knew very well what Douluo Palace was used for, and so did Guangzi Hongyan. Only the dead title Douluo can stay in the Douluo Palace, which can also be said to be the tomb of title Douluo. The strongest being in the Wuhan Palace at present, and one of the strongest in the entire continent, Qiandao Lubian is in the Douluo Palace, and is the master of the Douluo Palace. The Douluo Palace is the real treasure. I just don't know if those dead title Douluo can wake up again. Chen Luo thought about the corpses of title Douluo in the Douluo Palace. Those who can lie in the Douluo Palace are all title Douluo. If those title Douluo can wake up, then Chen Luo will undoubtedly become the strongest person. It's exciting to think about letting those title Douluo stand up again and become a major force for themselves. But obviously, this matter can only be thought about in the mind, not even spoken about. The Douluo Palace is the holy place in the hearts of all soul masters. If you are disrespectful to the Douluo Palace, even the Pope will be despised by the world, let alone resurrecting all the title Douluo who died in the Douluo Palace. That is definitely the craziest thing. I'm afraid it will cause all the soul masters in the mainland to be besieged. However, Chen Luo did not completely give up the idea, although it was too difficult to implement it. If nothing else, entering the Douluo Palace is the biggest problem. You must know that there is an extremely terrifying existence living in Douluo Palace. Even if he could enter the Douluo Palace, resurrecting those title Douluo would be enough for Chen Luo to drink. However, this is not completely impossible. As long as Chen Luo becomes strong enough, he can easily wake up the title Douluo. Anyway, the mainland will be in chaos in the future. He will have many opportunities to get into the Douluo Palace. As long as he is fast enough and those title Douluo can wake up, then he is invincible. If all those title Douluo can really wake up, even the spirit wall can only move back a little. So what if all the soul masters are dissatisfied? As long as the fists are hard enough, they can still be silenced. Maybe there are people lying in the Douluo Hall. Most of them are former elders in Wuhan Palace, and maybe the former Pope Jin's Unji is also among them. Chen Luo was thinking about the corpses of those title Douluo in the Douluo Palace, while Guangzi Hongyan was thinking about the real number 1 Jin Daoliu in the Wuhan Palace. I will kill you one day. Guangzi Hongyan clenched his fists. Master, when will you free up a position for me? I haven't gone back to practice for a long time. Guangzi Hongyan tilted his head, having completely processed the emotions in his heart, and looked at Chen Luo with a faint smile. Chen Luo frowned slightly. Watch your words. I already told you not to call me master, but you still call me master. Wouldn't it be embarrassing if people heard you? Guangzi Hongyan seemed disapproving and said with a smile, it's okay, there is no one here. Chen Luo glanced around. Although there was no one up there, Chen Luo still used his soul power and responded in a voice that only Gong Zhongyang could hear. What? You want to go back to the dead space? Isn't it good to be outside? Gong Zhongyang also used his soul power to specialize his voice. It's not bad, it's just that the speed of practicing outside is incomparable to that in the dead space. Why are you suddenly working so hard again? What stimulation did you receive? Chen Luo asked in surprise. He didn't have the habit of checking his own undead memories, so he didn't know the content of the conversation between Gong Zhongyang and Sword Douluo Chengsen. I've always worked hard, okay. Gong Zhongyang said with a smile. Chen Luo glanced at Gong Zhongyang with some suspicion, and then said, let's talk about it later. Okay. Gong Zhongyang nodded. Although Chen Luo has obtained the skull ring, there is a special space in it to store undead souls, but it seems that only low-level undead souls can be stored, and undead souls with a little intelligence cannot be placed in it. In other words, the Nightmare Centipede, the Earth King and the Black Curse cannot be put into the skull ring, and only the man-faced spider does not have any intelligence. But Chen Luo didn't want to put the Hell Spider into the skull ring. This kind of special dead soul beast that could grow quickly must of course continue to improve in the dead space. It is indeed time to update. Low-level soul beasts such as Nightmare Centipede are no longer enough. However, Chen Luo would sometimes find it funny when he thought about it. He could only describe a 10,000-a-year level soul beast as low-level. In addition to the restrictions on storing undead, the process of storing undead in skull rings is also troublesome. Even with Annan's help, it would be very complicated and take time. Let's wait until the Senior Soul Master Elite competition is over. There's no rush. After staying on the top floor for a while and enjoying the wind, Chen Luo and Gong Zhongyang returned to the hotel. This is a hotel specially arranged by Wuhan Palace for the Xiao Empire's Soul Master team. All Soul Masters are serving in the hotel, and even the waiters are at the level of great Soul Masters. The environment here is pretty good, but the location is a little out of the way. It is said that the team of Soul Masters from the Star Luo Empire also arrived at Wuhan City, and they were arranged on the other side of Wuhan City. Chen Luo returned to his room, and Xiao Wu was practicing to maintain good condition, because the final stage of the Advanced Soul Master Elite competition will officially begin in 3 days. Of course Xiao Wu lives with Chen Luo, and the other Shrek monsters are also clearly arranged. Several of Chen Luo's undead brothers were also assigned rooms. Guang Zhongyang, Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao lived together, and Du and Xiao had a room each. They all stayed for free. Originally, they could have a room each, but Gong Zhongyang lived in one room. Zhang Yang and the others just had to squeeze together, and their rooms were very close to Chen Luo's room. Tang San was special, being placed in the safest position. On the left were Ning Fengzi and Sword Douluo Chengsen, and on the right was Poison Douluo Dugubo. Chen Luo and the others were not very far away from Tang San, as long as whenever an accident happened, they could all arrive in time, and Tang San suddenly became everyone's priority protection target. In fact, there is no need to be so nervous. The most dangerous place is actually the safest. Unless the people in Wuhan Palace are smart, they will attack Tang San in Wuhan City. They can make everyone look like fools, but they can't. There is a second time. Chapter 131. The game begins. Bibi Dong was already cautious enough, but she was not very lucky, otherwise Tang San would have died long ago. Of course, if Bibi Dong is ruthless enough, she can still attack Tang San now, even if it causes a certain amount of turmoil, it doesn't matter. Given the strength of Wuhan Palace, at most it will cause trouble for a while, and eventually it will be over. Even if Tang Hao comes to kill him, he is not afraid at all. Tang Hao alone can still fight against Wuhan Palace. If he really had that level of strength, he would not have been decadent in a small place like Holy Soul Village for so many years. This is a common problem among big people. They either disdain those weak beings at all, or they worry about too many things and feel that the price they pay to kill the weak guy is not worth it. There will be opportunities in the future. In the end, there is only regret. I regretted why I didn't just squeeze him to death and let him grow to this point. No way, no one can predict the future. When an emperor could he imagine that a beggar would eventually overthrow his imperial power and take his place? Sometimes things that you think are nonsense actually happen. Perhaps in Bibi Dong's view, Tang San would indeed pose a threat to Wuhan Palace in the future, and she even launched a large-scale assassination operation specifically for Tang San, but it failed in the end. Now I still want to kill Tang San, but for many reasons I can't do it anymore, so I want to wait. After waiting a little longer, Tang Hao appeared and ran away with Tang San. Chen Luo knew all of this, but it was impossible for him to find Bibi Dong and tell her everything that happened later. Even if he told her, Bibi Dong might not believe it. A boy wrapped in blue and silver was actually the one who killed her in the end? Don't be ridiculous, okay? She just felt that Tang San was a bit threatened, not to this extent. Besides, Chen Luo wouldn't do such a thing. He and Tang San might not be very good brothers, but at least they were friends. In the next 3 days, Shrek's little monsters were taking a good rest, as were the other Soul Master teams. I don't know the situation of other teams, but Shrek Little Monster and the others used training instead of rest to keep themselves in the best condition possible. The Senior Soul Master Elite competition is still very important to the little monsters. They have also put in a lot of efforts for this and have finally reached this point. Of course, they must play more steadily. In terms of self-discipline, the little monsters have done very well. Chen Luo spent most of his time with Xiao Wu. When Xiao Wu finished practicing, the two of them would stick together and talk about the interesting things they had experienced in the past year, or go shopping. While Xiao Wu was practicing, Chen Luo took his undead brothers around Wuhan City to let them experience the real fireworks in the world. Guang's Hongyang has been dead for decades. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao have never seen the light of day in the killing city. Duan Xiaoi was almost lost. Before they became undead, their world was almost complete. Gray, Guang's Hongyang has no world at all. Now that I have come back to life, of course I have to live a good life. Duan Xiaoyu seems to like this kind of life very much. She goes shopping to buy clothes and eat delicious food like an ordinary little girl. It's just that her voice is a bit hard to describe. If there is a Lolita voice or a royal voice, even the most ordinary female voice will make Duan Xiaoyu's image 100 times better. After all, Duan Xiaoyu is not a bad girl. Yu Yao and Wei Liang Hao were adapting. They had been following Chen Luo for a while, but most of the time they stayed by Chen Luo's side. Chen Luo had been in seclusion for a long time after getting the benefits from the skull ring, and then returned. I was on my way in a hurry, and it was rare that I had such a leisurely time recently. Guang's Hongyang was supposed to be the most active one among the people, but during this period he didn't seem to be very interested in eating, drinking and having fun. He even stayed in the hotel to practice hard most of the time. 3 days passed quickly, and the finals of the Senior Soul Master Elite competition began as scheduled in Wuhan City. The competition venue arranged by Wuhan City was in the center of Wuhan City. It was a venue specially opened by Wuhan City. It originally seemed to be a bustling neighborhood, but it was directly bulldozed. The competition arena was completely built with granite and was 100 meters in diameter. There were a large number of soul guides on the competition stage for reinforcement. In such a venue, even ordinary soul emperors would find it difficult to cause damage when fighting here. Although Wuhan City is not particularly prosperous, because it is a city where soul masters live, almost every inch of land is precious. However, Wuhan City does not skimp on the most precious land at all. The construction of the competition venue is completely regardless of cost. Even the two major the empire couldn't help but gasp after seeing it. What is rich and powerful? This is called rich and powerful. Almost half of the people in Wuhan City came to watch the game. The scene was very lively. Wuhan City was also very generous. They did not charge any tickets and watching the game was free. Of course, if you need other needs, such as water and food, there will still be a fee, and it's ridiculously expensive. It depends on the needs of the audience. If you have money, buy it. If you don't have money, you can bring it yourself. Most of the residents living in Wuhan City are relatively wealthy. They also seem to know that Wuhan City has spent a lot of money to build such a competition venue. They have specially purchased items for the competition venue and want to do their part. Mind. There was no extra opening ceremony in the competition. The host just briefly introduced it and quickly entered the theme of the competition. The first was the draw. Shrek Academy was drawn against Blazing Academy, and the latter abstained directly. Chen Luo brought his undead brothers to the competition venue to feel the atmosphere of the competition. Chen Luo is actually one of the players in the competition. He is a 10,000-year substitute for the Shrek Academy team and has never played. This has something to do with the fact that he has not come back. The main reason is that he has no chance to play. Shrek 7 The strength of the monster is enough. Chen Luo didn't pay much attention to the games of other Soul Master teams. He only paid attention to the situation of Shrek Academy. He didn't finish watching the game and left after watching half of it. Although Chen Luo's current strength is not particularly strong, it is definitely not comparable to those of the Soul Masters on the field. It can be said that they are not on the same level at all. Watching their games is like watching children fight, and Chen Luo doesn't even think about it. By selecting talents from these Soul Masters and letting him watch the game with appreciation, he really couldn't do it. Chen Luo couldn't arouse the slightest interest in the news about the merger of Blazing Fire Academy and Divine Wind Academy. To be honest, he had almost forgotten most of the plot of the Soul Master competition. If he deliberately recalled it, he might still be able to remember it, but it was no longer necessary. Soon, Shrek Academy ushered in the third round of competition, which was also their first match. They faced the Star Luo Empire Royal Academy. On the other side, the Wuhandian team battled against the Xiandao Royal Academy. Chen Luo did not focus on Shrek, but went to watch the match at Wuhan Palace. He wanted to see what the golden generation of Wuhan Palace was like. Chapter 132 Fallen Genius. The Wuhandian team was ready for battle. The team members had been replaced. 3 young men with purple book-shaped badges entered the preparation table. When the 3 players appeared, Chen Luo's eyes were immediately attracted to them. There are 2 men and 1 woman, both in their early 20s, and their soul power levels have reached the Soul King level. The strongest one is level 52, and the other 2 are both level 51. The 3 of them were all wearing Wuhandian standard white team uniforms, with a girl sitting at the side. Boss, I have figured out their identities. They are the golden generation of Wuhan Palace. The girl next to them is named Hulina. There was a black-haired young man named Xiao. They are half-brothers and sisters with Hulina. Let's go over there. There is a red-haired man named Yan, and you must have sensed their soul power levels, boss, so I won't go into details. Guangzhongyang was sitting next to Chen Luo and noticed Chen Luo's eyes falling on Hulina and the others. He immediately used his soul power to control his voice and told Chen Luo some simple information about Hulina and the others. In fact, without Guangzhongyang's reminder, Chen Luo had already identified Hulina and the others through their simple appearance, but he was still a little curious about where Guangzhongyang got this information. Chen Luo glanced at Guangzhongyang. Guangzhongyang instantly understood what Chen Luo meant and said immediately, Ning Fengzi told me that this little baby is quite good. Although it is a little worse than his ancestor, but he is already very good at dealing with people, and his strength is not bad. He has already found out the information about all other team members for the Shrek Academy where you are, boss. Chen Luo nodded lightly, and when he saw Guangzhongyang mentioning Ning Fengzi, he couldn't help but ask, by the way, how did your senior brother join the Kibao Glazed sect? After my master died, the sect completely disappeared. Later, my senior brother experienced some things and happened to meet Ning Fengzi. Guangzhongyang said. Guangzhongyang didn't tell the details, but just made a general mention, and Chen Luo didn't ask any more questions. Something must have happened that made Sword Douluo join the 7 Treasures Glazed sect and become the sect protector Douluo of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Your sect is full of talented people. Even if you were accidentally selected, your senior brother, and your master are all titled Douluo, and there are 2 peak Douluo. How can a sect with such a configuration continue to move forward? The end. Chen Luo asked curiously. Guangzhongyang smiled awkwardly. To tell you the truth, there are only a few of us in our sect. Chen Luo. Later I joined the evil soul master, and my eldest brother looked for his own path. The only 2 people left in the sect were master and senior brother. Guangzhongyang smiled awkwardly. Okay. Chen Luo couldn't help but smile and asked, are there any conditions required to establish a sect, especially the number of people? Guangzhongyang smiled and nodded. I don't know what the situation is now, but in our time, a person can also be a sect. Weren't there so many sects at that time? Almost. After briefly discussing Douluo's past with Guangzhongyang, Chen Luo's eyes returned to the 3 golden generations of Wuhan Palace. Hulina was much prettier than Chen Luo imagined, and her figure was even hotter. Even the white uniform couldn't seem to cover the beauty inside. He remembered the description in the book that Hulina was a relatively ordinary-looking girl, but she was influenced by Wuhan and had a special charm that made people look more and more beautiful. Hulina in the anime is definitely a beauty. Even if she is not top-notch, she has absolutely nothing to do with ordinary people. The Hulina in front of me is more beautiful than the image in the anime. She gives people a very stunning feeling at a glance, and it is difficult to look away after that. Many people in the audience's eyes unconsciously stayed on Helena. Chen Luo's concentration was extremely good, but he couldn't help but look at it for a few more seconds. Looking at Ziyu next to Helena, although Ziyu is also very handsome, she looks much ordinary next to her sister Helena. He has black hair and a tall figure that can be described as burly. There is no expression on his face, and his whole body gives people a feeling of extreme confidence from the inside out. Next to Ziyu is Yan, who has fiery red hair. He is the most ordinary looking of the three people in the golden generation. He is the kind who is hard to find in a crowd. If it weren't for Yan's fiery red hair and the faint burning aura emanating from his body, it would be difficult for Chen Luo to imagine that this brother was Yan. Yan gave people a very calm feeling. He was looking straight ahead, wondering what he was thinking. Boss, the Wuhan Palace is indeed full of talented people. The talents of these three little kids are very good, and they almost catch up with me back then. Guang's Hongyang said with a smile. Chen Luo was a little surprised when he heard this, catch up with you back then. Guang's Hongyang raised his lips slightly, although my talent is not top-notch, it is still pretty good. Of course, if I compare it with you, the boss, I am far behind. Talk like a human being. Chen Luo looked at Guang's Hongyang calmly, not feeling any emotion at all because of Guang's Hongyang's flattery. Guang's Hongyang said, when I was 17 years old, I was already the Soul King, and when I was 20 years old, I was level 58. Real or false? Even though he knew that Guang's Hongyang, the evil soul master, was a genius in cultivation, after listening to what Guang's Hongyang said, Chen Luo still felt that it was a bit untrue. A confident smile appeared on Guang's Hongyang's face. I was born with full soul power, and I was considered a genius back then. Did you go astray later? Or did you go astray before you were 17? Chen Luo asked. The 17-year-old Soul King is already an exaggeration, although he should be able to reach the Soul King before the age of 16 if nothing unexpected happens. Facing Chen Luo's questioning, Guang's Hongyang seemed a little embarrassed. Before I was 20 years old, I practiced on my own. I joined the evil soul master when I was 20 years old. When Chen Luo heard this, the corner of his mouth twitched slightly. Is your brain squeezed by the door? Such a talent, plus a hairy evil soul master. Isn't it good to practice cultivation on your own? It is obvious that after Guang's Hongyang joined the evil soul master, his soul power level increased at a slower rate instead of an increase. Otherwise, he would not still be a soul emperor at the age of 40 or. Such a good talent was wasted like this. Guang's Hongyang seemed a little embarrassed. Well, almost. I was following the devil at that time. I always thought that joining the evil soul master could do something great, but in the end, I was completely destroyed. Chen Luo couldn't help but ask, your master and brothers don't know about it, right? Your brother shouldn't know either. Guang's Hongyang nodded. Chen Luo showed a real expression. Let me tell you, if they know your thoughts in advance, they will break your dog legs no matter what. That's what they said later. Guang's Hongyang sighed, but I couldn't look back at that time. Chen Luo, is it because you joined the evil soul master that your brother hates the evil soul master so much? Guang's Hongyang nodded, then shook his head, and then nodded again. It should be. Chapter 133 The Special Formation of the Evil Soul Master. Every time Guang's Hongfei mentioned the evil soul master, he looked scornful. He seemed to hate the evil soul master deeply. Chen Luo had always seen these details in his eyes. Chen Luo had guessed before that Guang's Hongfei hated evil soul masters because of Guang's Hongyang. Now after listening to Guang's Hongyang, the former genius, talk about his past glory, he was almost certain. Guang's Hongfei valued his younger brother so much, but his younger brother ruined his life because of the evil soul master. How could Guang's Hongfei not hate it? Even if Guang's Hongyang committed suicide to join the evil soul master, Guang's Hongfei would still do the same. He vented his anger on the evil soul master. Guang's Hongyang continued, it's not entirely because of me. The main reason is that my brother is an extremely righteous person. Now it should be in the past. He used to be an extremely righteous person. There is no room for sand in his eyes. The evil soul master boss, you should already know about the things he did. With my elder brother's character, I will definitely not tolerate their existence. Chen Luo glanced at Guang's Hongyang with some suspicion. Then how did you survive? Just because you are his younger brother? I can see that your brother can also be a person who kills relatives for justice. Guang's Hongyang burst into laughter. Boss, you have misunderstood me. Although my Guang's Hongyang took the wrong path, everything I did was worthy of my conscience. The people I killed were all people who deserved to be killed. The souls it eats are dirty souls. Chen Luo nodded slightly in affirmation, and then couldn't help but say, fortunately, you didn't do anything wrong, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to meet. Guang's Hongyang sighed. Even now when I think back to those things in the past, I still feel a little ridiculous. I actually chose a ridiculously wrong path, which led to my own destruction. It's understandable that you are young and frivolous. Who hasn't done a few crazy things when they were young? Chen Luo smiled and said, do what you think is right and put it into action. You don't ask for the results, but you ask that you won't regret not doing it in the future. It's good to have that courage. Boss. Guang's Hongyang looked at Chen Luo with the brilliance of meeting bowl. Chen Luo added, you are an exception, you can actually play with yourself. Guang's Hongyang. Chen Luo, to be honest, I'm very curious about how you survived. What I mean by alive is that the corpse still retains its vitality. You should understand what I mean. Guang's Hongyang nodded slightly, then pondered for a moment, and then said with emotion, I also feel it is very magical. This may be related to some special formation of the evil soul master. My colleagues seem to have it from the beginning. He planned to protect me and drained himself dry after death, keeping my corpse alive. Of course, the most important thing is you, boss. Without you, there would be no Guang's Hongyang now. Maybe my body will be completely integrated into the lowest in a few decades, or even a few years and a few months. Zhang Yang also added a special sentence. The evil soul master's special magic circle. Chen Luo frowned slightly. Guang's Hongyang nodded, yes, apart from that, I really can't think of any other reason. Chen Luo, when your colleagues were killed, they couldn't control the placement of their bodies. How could they build a magic circle? Guang's Hongyang smiled slightly. Some magic circles do not need to be placed. They only need to establish connections in the body. After certain conditions are met, they will be automatically activated and maintained. Can you? Chen Luo asked. I can't, but I've seen it before. Guang's Hongyang said, but boss, you can learn the information about the magic circle through the skull ring. If you can learn it, it will definitely be helpful to your strength, boss. Evil soul masters use these special magic circles to extend their lifespan, and some like me preserve corpses. In addition to this type of magic circles, there are also attack and defense magic circles. Evil soul masters tinker with these. This stuff is pretty cool, you haven't learned anything. Chen Luo, and then added, those magic formations. Guang's Hongyang must have mastered the evil soul master's main ability, otherwise this guy wouldn't be able to become one of the evil soul masters. Guang's Hongyang once again showed an awkward smile. I have never studied. Chen Luo felt a little speechless. You are indeed a fake evil soul master. Guang's Hongyang. Hearing Guang's Hongyang's mention, Chen Luo suddenly became interested in the special skills of the evil soul master and planned to study them carefully when he went back tonight. It is indeed a miracle that Guang's Hongyang survived. Not only did the special magic circle of the evil soul master play a role, but the main reason was that the people who killed them were too careless, knowing that the evil soul master had unique skills in resurrecting the dead. After understanding and researching, they also left the whole body and buried it, but the burial was a bit deep. Guang's Hongyang seemed to see what Chen Luo was thinking, and he added to himself, the guy who killed us back then deliberately left the whole body for us, and then buried it in a deep pit openly. The purpose is to attract more evil soul masters. Okay, so it's for fishing. Chen Luo couldn't help but ask, did anyone go to save your bodies from behind? Guang's Hongyang showed an awkward smile again and again, no. When Chen Luo saw Guang's Hongyang's embarrassed look, the smile on his face couldn't help but grow stronger. The man in front of him was once the proud man of heaven, but he took the wrong path later and ended up in this situation now. Talking about his wonderful and crazy past will inevitably make him feel embarrassed. While Chen Luo and Guang's Hongyang were chatting, the game below was also going on. Chen Luo and Guang's Hongyang were in relatively good positions and could clearly see the entire game. After the chat ended, Chen Luo and Guang's Hongyang's eyes fell on the competition field. At this time, the Shrek Academy team had already launched an extremely fierce battle with the Star Luo Royal Academy team. The dazzling soul rings shone brightly on the 14 players on the competition field. The 7 soul masters of the Star Luo Royal team, headed by Davis and Zhu Zuoyan, did not show any signs of carelessness and all appeared to be extra cautious. Maybe they had said contemptuous words to Daimyo and the others before going on the field, but when it came to the actual battle, everyone remained highly serious. The reason why Davis and the others take the competition seriously has a lot to do with the spirit rings and qualities displayed by the Shrek 7 Devils. Davis and the others couldn't believe that the group of players in front of them, who were much younger than them, were all soul sects, and they didn't seem to be much weaker than them in terms of soul power level. Just from Daimyo's release of martial arts, you can see the momentum displayed by the Soul Queen. Those who can stand here are all beings who have been carefully selected. They are far superior to ordinary people in terms of strength and mentality. Even if the Shrek 7 monsters are much weaker, Davis and the others will still take the game extremely seriously. Seriousness is one of the fighting qualities that a strong person should have. After seeing the strength of the Shrek 7 Devils, Davis and the others became even more energetic. Chapter 134 Xiao Wu's Progress. After Chen Luo glanced at the 14 contestants, his eyes finally rested on Xiao Wu. It had been a long time since he had seen Xiao Wu in battle, and he didn't know what Xiao Wu's current strength was. If the original plot in the book is followed, Xiao Wu is currently just a soul sect who has just obtained the 4th soul ring, but because Chen Luo gave the Hunan Ginseng to Xiao Wu's current strength is level 43. Chen Luo could tell Xiao Wu's soul power level at a glance. What he really cared about was Xiao Wu's combat effectiveness. Among the team, Tang San was still the spiritual leader, responsible for the command of the entire team. As soon as the battle started, all the little monsters were in their positions instantly, fully prepared for the battle. Xiao Wu, as an attack-type battle soul master, naturally rushed to the front of the team. She looked very serious and confident, and she directly faced Davis, the captain of the Douluo Royal Academy team. Davis probably didn't expect that he would be fighting against a cute girl instead of his stupid brother, which made Davis feel contemptuous. Daimyo, is this all you have? You actually sent a girl to fight with me? Davis sneered. Although Davis's soul ring is different from Daimyo's, their first 3 soul skills are exactly the same. After all, these 3 soul skills are the best conclusions reached after their family's hard work. While advancing, Davis had already activated a White Tiger Vajra transformation. Facing Xiao Wu who was rushing towards him, he directly used the White Tiger Fierce Light Wave to attack. Xiao Wu's body was very nimble, and with the blessing of Ningrongrong's speed, her whole body became very flexible. However, she did not choose to avoid Davis' White Tiger Fierce Light Wave, but directly chose to ignore it and continue to move straight forward. The speed is getting faster and faster. Are you looking for death? Of course not. Davis was not naive enough to think that Xiao Wu would just die. He stared at Xiao Wu and soon discovered the clues. When Xiao Wu was about to be hit by the White Tiger's Fierce Light Wave, a golden light suddenly appeared on her body, and then Xiao Wu went directly through the White Tiger's Fierce Light Wave without suffering any damage. In just 3 seconds, Xiao Wu's momentum quickly increased a lot. After passing through the White Tiger's Fierce Light Wave, Xiao Wu came directly in front of Davis. Her long hair hanging behind her wrapped around Davis' neck. Before Davis could react, Xiao Wu's body had already flashed to Dai's side. Behind Weiss. Davis sensed something was wrong in advance, but he still didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Even though he was mentally prepared to deal with it, he still couldn't take action immediately. The braid wrapped around Davis's neck suddenly tightened. Xiao Wu ducked behind Davis, put one foot on the ground, and put the other foot on Davis' waist. The first soul skill, Waist Bow, is activated. Xiao Wu's whole body tensed up instantly surrounded by the golden light, and the next moment, her whole body exploded with all her strength. Davis was thrown out directly. He had no chance to resist. The moment Xiao Wu launched her waist bow, her strength had reached its extreme. Even a soul master with the strength of the Soul Emperor could not escape, let alone David. That's it. However, when Davis was in midair, a very strange smile appeared on his face. He seemed to have expected all this. Zhu Huayan's figure quickly joined Davis. As soon as Davis landed, the two of them could instantly complete the martial soul fusion technique and then start to counterattack. The Soul Master Elite competition is particularly important for all participating teams. Although the Douluo Royal Academy team is very confident in its own strength, it is not so confident that it does not need to understand the situation of other teams. It can be said that, except for a few really bad teams, Basically every team has all the information of other teams in the lounge. Davis was aware of some of Xiao Wu's soul skills and abilities. He had long been prepared to deal with them, but he didn't expect that Xiao Wu was much stronger than he thought. He didn't even have time to react. He thought he could easily defeat Xiao Wu with his own strength, but now it seems that this is a joke. Xiao Wu really restrained the powerful players. He almost capsized in the gutter. Davis secretly sighed in his heart. They had obtained all the information about the team, including the identity information of the players. Even before the fight started, all the members of the Star Luo team had recognized the members of the Shrek team, not just the members of the Shrek team. The people in Team Shrek are smart, everyone is the same. Xiao Wu was not a fool. When she saw Zhu Huayan approaching Davis, she immediately understood their intention. She rushed over quickly and jumped up. The third soul skill teleportation is activated. Xiao Wu's figure suddenly appeared in front of Davis, and activated her charm skills, making Davis unable to react for a moment, and then activated her ordinary soft skills. Boom! Davis was hit hard on the ground, and Zhu Huayan who was coming was also successfully intercepted by Zhu Xiuqing. On Daimubei's side, there were one enemy and many enemies, and the battlefield was divided into several pieces. Their operational thinking was very clear, which was to separate Davis and Zhu Huayan. Xiao Wu has successfully completed her mission. Her performance is very eye-catching and her ability to adapt to changes is extremely strong. Tang, who was at the back and had been accumulating strength, finally activated his fourth soul skill, Blue-Silver Cage. To be precise, it is the blue and silver stabbing formation. The blue-silver stab formation is a more powerful control skill developed by Tang himself on the basis of the blue-silver cage, which can exert absolute control over the target. There was only a very special sound, and then a dark blue halo spread quietly with the Star Luo Academy team as the center. Just when the blue halo spread to the extreme, countless blue-silver grass suddenly appeared from the halo, broke out of the ground, and lifted everyone in the Star Luo Academy team into the air. The members of the Star Luo Academy team reacted quickly. After sensing the precursor to the activation of the soul skill, they immediately gathered together. Although this did not change the outcome, everyone was affected by the special shock power of the blue-silver grass. Stunned. Although this dizzy effect was short-lived, it was enough for the Shrek 7 Devils to exert themselves. When the fight started, Oscar handed out a piece of pink sausage to each person. At this time, everyone took advantage of the opponent's controlled time and drank the pink sausage. Their strength suddenly improved and they began to clear the field. "Boss, your Xiao's strength is very good." Wherever Chen Luo's eyes fell, Guangzhongyang's eyes fell on them. Seeing that the battle was coming to an end and almost a foregone conclusion, Guangzhongyang finally couldn't help but speak. She is very confident. Confidence is particularly important in battle, and she knows how to amplify her advantages and maximize her combat effectiveness in an instant. The timing of the battle is also extremely well controlled. Guangzhongyang smiled and said a lot, all of which were favorable to Xiao Wu. Of course, there was a lot of flattery in it, but it could also be seen that Guangzhongyang admired Xiao Wu from the bottom of his heart. Although Chen Luo understood that what Guangzhongyang said was somewhat exaggerated, he still felt very happy after hearing it, and a faint smile appeared on his face unconsciously. She has indeed become a lot stronger. She is no longer the eldest sister in Notting City who can only use brute force. I am constantly working hard to become stronger, and she is the same. Chapter 135 Demon Abyss. The match between the Shrek team and the Star Luo Academy team lost any suspense when everyone in the Star Luo Academy team was knocked away. The Shrek little monsters perfectly grasped the opportunity and defeated them easily. In the end, Daimubei and Zhu Xiuqing used the martial soul fusion skill Netherworld White Tiger to complete the end. Looking back on the entire battle, the situation was basically consistent with what Chen Luo remembered, and there was no big difference. The only difference is that the Star Luo Royal team really takes the competition seriously, but they still can't stand up to the ferocity of the Shrek team. The same was true when Xiao Wu played against Davis. Even though Davis was prepared in advance, Xiao Wu still knocked him down in the end. To look at a person's strength, it's not just about the coolness of the battle surface, it's mainly about the grasp of the timing of the battle and the perfect connection of skills. Obviously, the Shrek 7 Devils did this perfectly, so they were able to win the game so quickly and easily. Xiao Wu's battle process was basically consistent with Chen Luo's impression. That is, the decisive pursuit in the end was a slight change, but it also more perfectly demonstrated Xiao Wu's strength. Confident, powerful, and with a clean fighting style, he is already very good. As the saying goes, 1 minute on stage can take 10 years off stage. Xiao Wu must have put in a lot of effort for this. Chen Luo has always seen her previous efforts. Chen Luo also discovered that many things had changed due to his arrival. Xiao Wu became more mature and sensible, and both of them worked in a tacit understanding for a better future. Isn't this the best portrayal of life? Don't mention age, neither he nor Xiao Wu are young. The future of two people is never one person's business. Only two people working together can successfully create it. After the Shrek team's battle ended, Chen Luo did not immediately leave the auditorium to congratulate them and share Xiao Wu's joy after their victory. Instead, he continued to watch the game with Gong's Hongyang in the auditorium. The next match is between the Wuhandian team and the Xiandao Royal Academy team. To be honest, if Xiao Wu was ignored, Chen Luo was still paying more attention to this battle. He was very familiar with Shrek. Before the battle started, Chen Luo had already roughly imagined the situation of the battle. The result was not what Chen Luo expected. It was basically the same, except that the Shrek in front of him was more powerful. Period. All the little monsters are much more mature in terms of character. They all work very hard, which is why they have the strength they have today. They are all worthy of the word monster. Boss, the martial soul fusion skills of Hulina and Ziyu always give me a very familiar feeling. I hope they can use them later, so that I can be more sure. Guang's Hongyang seemed to be very interested in the martial arts. He is also very interested in the match of the palace team, he said in a deep voice. Chen Luo asked, you haven't seen them release martial soul fusion skills, so why do you feel so familiar? Guang's Hongyang said, I read the description of their martial soul fusion skills, which is similar to the one in my impression. There are even skill descriptions? The data collection is so complete. Chen Luo was a little surprised. Guang's Hongyang smiled and nodded. Ningfeng's his little doll is quite good. It is said that the female doll also helped. Girl doll, which girl doll? Chen Luo believed in Ningfeng's his ability, but why was there suddenly an extra girl? Chen Luo looked confused. Guang's Hongyang said, that's Prince Zhu King. She is just a female doll disguised as a man. Boss, don't tell me that you didn't see her disguise? Even I saw it. Chen Luo was a little surprised. Jin Ringsu's disguise was extremely clever. If he hadn't known the plot in advance, he wouldn't have been able to see any flaws in Jin Ringsu. You must know that Douluo, a titled Douluo, and even sword Douluo, a peak Douluo, did not notice Niduan. Guang's Hongyang added with a smile, although that female doll is indeed very good at hiding and her ability to disguise is really good, if I hadn't noticed something was wrong, I wouldn't have been able to find it. What's wrong? Chen Luo asked curiously. Guang's Hongyang smiled evilly, she is a girl after all. She can disguise anything, but the most important part of being a man cannot be disguised. Chen Luo's mouth twitched slightly, did you see it? Guang's Hongyang said, how is it possible? I just can sense it. You can sense this? Chen Luo looked surprised. Guang's Hongyang shrugged, maybe this is also my special ability. It was not so outrageous before. It's just that after becoming an undead, my sensitivity became stronger. I have been fooled by similar tricks like that of the female doll before, so I am more sensitive. Chen Luo looked at Guang's Hongyang with great curiosity, how many stories do you have? Guang's Hongyang smiled and said, that's too much? Although I have only lived for a few decades, I have still experienced a lot of things. If you, boss, want to hear it, I can tell you everything. Of course, boss, you can also go and see it yourself. Maybe you will have a better sense of immersion. Chen Luo shook his head slightly, let's forget it. You can say it yourself when it's time to say it. Boss, there's a story to tell soon. A strange red light suddenly bloomed on the playing field, instantly covering the entire field and immediately attracted Guang's Hongyang's attention. Chen Luo also moved his eyes away from Guang's Hongyang and towards the competition field. We agreed to watch the game, but ended up listening to Guang's Hongyang talk about all kinds of things. The match between the Wuhandian team and the Xiandao Academy team has officially started. Everything is not much different from what Chen Luo remembered. Wuhandian replaced the 3 golden generations of Hulina, Ziyu and Yan, with the purpose of quickly to resolve the battle. Hulina and Ziyu immediately activated their martial soul fusion skill, Monster. Red light covered the playing field, and Hulina and Ziyu merged into one person holding a bloody moon blade. Monster. Within the control range of the monster skill, everyone's senses will be reduced by 50.00%, soul power will be suppressed by 50.00%, and all actions will be sluggish by 50.00%. This martial soul fusion skill is quite abnormal, and even Chen Luo feels that the demon is a bit strong. However, Guangzhongyang looked very disdainful. It's so rubbish. The effect of the skill inherited from Mo Yuan is less than 1/10. I really don't know how this martial soul fusion skill was passed down. The more it is passed down, the more rubbish it becomes. Guangzhongyang said with some disappointment, "Boss, I have already remembered that this demon skill is a low-level version of the demon abyss skill. It doesn't even deserve the word low-level." Moyun. This time Chen Luo didn't show any surprise, he just looked at Guangzhongyang calmly. Guangzhongyang slowly said, "Decades ago. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 136 was once powerful. Decades ago, I met a couple when I was out training. They were both titled Douluo level experts. I was only 30 years old at the time, and my soul power level was 62. The husband is about 40 years old, and the wife is a few years younger. They have both broken through to the title Douluo not long ago, and their martial spirits are Dark Blade and Black Fox respectively. Their spirit fusion skill is called Mo Yuan. The demon in front of them looks somewhat similar to Mo Yuan. Mo Yuan covers a wider area and is filled with black light. The couple is not fused into one body. They are located together in a huge black shadow. Within the controller range of Mo Yuan's skills, the senses of all enemies will be reduced by 90.00%, the soul power will be suppressed by 90.00%, and all actions will be sluggish by 90.00%. The phantom controlled by the couple has the power of a peak Douluo. Combat power, that's what's truly powerful, Guangzhongyang sighed, as if everything in the past happened yesterday. The look on Chen Luo's face became more and more astonished as he listened. After Guangzhongyang finished speaking, he finally couldn't help but say, "Is it so exaggerated?" Guangzhongyang smiled and nodded, and then added a few words. "I don't know their real age, but their appearance looks like they are about 40 years old. They should be quite old. There are very few people in the world who can break through the title Douluo before the age of 40, even if they look. It's great, but I feel like they were not one of them. The reason why I met them is because the Evil Soul Master organization had their sights on them. I just went there to watch the show. Their martial soul fusion skill Moyun is more exaggerated than I said, but it seems that it has limited control over the powerful ones above the peak Douluo." Chen Luo asked, "Did your evil spirit master succeed in the end?" Guangzhongyang nodded, "Well, otherwise you won't be able to see me, boss." "Yet, I actually asked a nonsense question. Chen Luo, didn't you say that evil soul masters have already declined in your era? Are there still people who can fight against that couple?" Guangzhongyang smiled sheepishly, "Perhaps my contact with them is not deep enough. The evil soul masters still have some background, especially the undead puppets they control. But later on, I don't know what happened, but they completely declined. After those two couples opened the demonic abyss, their fighting power was at least at the peak Douluo level. What they fought was just an undead puppet of the evil soul master. A puppet that can fight against a peak Douluo must be at least as strong as a peak Douluo, or even stronger." When Chen Luo heard Guangzhongyang mention the past events of the evil soul master before, he always thought that the evil soul master was a very rubbish organization. But after listening to Guangzhongyang's simple description, Chen Luo instantly refreshed his understanding of the evil soul master. "Actually, I shouldn't be so surprised," Chen Luo thought to himself, as everything he and the undead encountered at the evil soul master's treasure flashed through his mind. First, Duan Xiao, who casually gained some benefits from the evil soul master, was able to grow to the level of Contra. Although it was virtual, he was still a Contra after all. Everything later harvested from the evil soul master's treasure can reflect the power of the evil soul master from the side. Not to mention anything else, the black curse of the title Douluo level is the best proof. The combat power during the period when the Black Curse was at its strongest seemed to be that of a peak Douluo. Facts have proved that the Evil Soul Master still has something. Chen Luo didn't ask any more about the Evil Soul Master's purpose of finding the couple. He could tell with just a little thought that the Evil Soul Master wanted to hide stronger puppets. Did you succeed in the end? Chen Luo asked. Even if we capture the couple, we may not be able to successfully make them into undead puppets. Guangzhongyang smiled and shook his head. It must have failed. Otherwise, with their husband and wife here, our Evil Soul Master would not have perished so quickly. The peak Douluo level undead puppet seems to be the Evil Soul Master's last treasure. Well, the reason why we want to attack that couple is because the time for the peak Douluo level undead puppet is running out, and we must find a new replacement. This is just my personal guess. I was not at a high level at that time and could not understand what happened next. When I grew up, all the information about those aspects disappeared. If I hadn't witnessed it with my own eyes, I even wondered if it was a dream. Chen Luo nodded lightly. It seems that you Evil Soul Masters perished for a reason. You, an Evil Soul Master who is not even a soul saint, can actually get to the top, which shows that they are really in trouble. Guangzhongyang. You just said that the undead puppet's time is running out. What do you mean? There is still a time limit for the undead that your Evil Soul Master can resurrect. Chen Luo asked. Guangzhongyang nodded. Yes, some undead souls can be resurrected permanently, but those are all undead souls with limited strength. The strongest undead souls do not exceed the Soul Emperor. The undead souls that exceed the Soul Emperor and above will be saved for the same time after resurrection. It's related to the strength. It is said that the undead puppet at the peak Douluo level has survived for many years. The person who can resurrect him must be such a powerful being. Could it be Bai Chen? Chen Luo thought to himself that Bai Chen was a strong man at the extreme Douluo level and had also undergone the test of God. If it were him, it would not be surprising to resurrect a peak Douluo. But it shouldn't be Bai Chen. Bai Chen 0 is too long ago. Even Black Curse doesn't know Bai Chen, and the era of the Evil Soul Master is still very layered. Bai Chen 0 should have been the period when Evil Soul Masters were the most powerful, but at that time there was probably no such title as Evil Soul Master. Who would dare to use the word evil to describe the power that level 99 extreme Douluo was commanding? The era of Black Curse should be the peak era of Evil Soul Masters. Black Curse itself is the product of Evil Soul Masters. Being able to create an existence as powerful as Black Curse is enough to prove the power of Evil Soul Masters. Maybe it is that at that time, the Evil Soul Master completely bore the evil reputation. The Black Curse was indeed powerful, but it was created with inhuman and extreme pain. The combination of man and soul beast was a blessing to those Evil Soul Masters who thought of it and successfully created it. There is no doubt about the ability of those Evil Soul Masters, and they can even be called crazy scientific researchers. If they put their research talents into other good aspects, they might be able to directly wash away the Evil Soul Master's bad reputation and become famous. The whole world. Later, it was the era of Guangzhongyang, and the Evil Soul Master finally came to destruction. By the way, if Guangzhongyang hadn't been born at the wrong time, would it be possible for him to become an evil swordsman? He was once a one-in-a-million genius, but he ruined himself. From what Guangzhongyang said, Mo Yuan was indeed very powerful. By the way, he also heard some stories about the Evil Soul Master's past. After understanding the demonic abyss, looking at the demonic charms of Hulina and Ziyu, it is indeed not enough. Chapter 137 The Long-Lost Special Task. Guangzhongyang remained silent when he saw Chen Luo falling into deep thought. At this time, seeing Chen Luo's eyes focused on the playing field again, he immediately continued the topic. Boss, you are so powerful, you can give us eternal life? Guangzhongyang said with a smile. There is no such thing as eternal life. It's just a beautiful fantasy. If I die, you will all be gone too. Chen Luo leaned on the back of the chair. The chairs prepared in the Wuhan Hall auditorium were quite comfortable, with moderate hardness and a good angle. Guangzhongyang said firmly, we always believe that you can cross the final limit, boss. Before that, we will do our best to protect you. Maybe before long, we won't even be qualified to protect the boss. I hope the boss won't abandon us. As he spoke, Guangzhongyang's voice lowered, and his mood seemed a little depressed. Chen Luo raised his lips slightly. Don't worry, you don't take up any space. We knew the boss wouldn't do that. Guangzhongyang said with a smile. On the playing field, The battle between the Wuhandian team and the Xiandao Royal Academy team has come to an end. After the last member of the Xiandao Royal Academy team was beaten to the ground, Wuhandian's victory was completely announced. The whole game actually didn't last long, only a few minutes. The strength of the Xiandao Royal Academy team is pretty good, but the Wuhan Palace team is too strong. They are not on the same level at all. Moreover, the Wuhandian team planned to fight quickly from the beginning. After Hulina and Ziyu turned on the demon, they killed each other indiscriminately. Yu Shai and Heng and the others did not even have the chance to react. After the game ended, Chen Luo and Guangzhongyang stood up and left the auditorium. There was nothing interesting to watch in the subsequent games. It was also time to go down and congratulate the Shrek monsters. The two of them soon arrived on the way to the team lounge, and happened to meet everyone from the Wuhandian team. Chen Luo's eyes stayed on Hulina for a moment, and so did the other party. Looking at Hulina from a close distance, Hulina's unique charm is even more obvious. If Chen Luo hadn't been very calm, he might not have been able to look away from Hulina. The other members of the Wuhandian team all looked elsewhere consciously, as if they didn't dare to set their eyes on Hulina. During the Wuhandian team's match, most of the audience only stared at Hulina. When Hulina and Ziyu merged, their eyes fell on the monster. This kind of girl with her own charm is really attractive. The reason why Hulina looks at Chen Luo is also because of Chen Luo's appearance. Chen Luo is tall and handsome, and it is no exaggeration to describe him as having a woman-like face. He is that kind of masculine and handsome, without any hint of femininity, and has an extraordinary temperament. Both men and women can't help but look at him more. The aisles are wide enough for a group of people to walk side by side without feeling crowded. The Wuhandian team's lounge was in another direction, and soon they set foot on their own paths. When they parted, Hulina even looked back at Chen Luo. "Boss, if I were half as handsome as you, I would probably have a family full of children and grandchildren. The girl from Wuhan Palace just kept staring at you, boss. She probably has her heart set on you, boss." Guangzhong said. Yang chuckled softly. Chen Luo looked very calm. "I just glanced at it a few times, it's not as exaggerated as you said. I glanced at her a few times, but I didn't have any interest in her." "Ah, yes. Guangzhongyang immediately smiled and nodded. Went to the lounge of Team Shrek, saw the little Shrek monsters, and briefly said hello and congratulations. Chen Luo then chatted with Xiao Wu for a few words, encouraged Xiao Wu to continue working hard, and then stopped there. Stayed and left directly. It's not that Chen Luo doesn't want to stay with the Shrek monsters, it's mainly that he has other things to do. When Chen Luo met the members of the Wuhandian team in the aisle, when his eyes fell on Hulina, he suddenly received a system prompt. The existence of a special task has been detected. Do you want to accept it? Of course, Chen Luo decisively chose to accept it, which was also the main reason why he stayed on Hulina for a while. He was taking on a mission at that time. Special mission accepted. Completing special tasks will have a certain chance of receiving top-notch rewards. Special mission, Demonic Abyss. Chen Luo was quite surprised when he received the notification of the special mission, but he seemed very calm on the surface. It has been a long time since he received a special mission. The last time he received a special mission was when he was at the Junior Soul Master Academy in Notting City. Guangzhongyang, do you still remember the place where you saw Mo Yuan? Chen Luo asked immediately after walking out of the competition venue. At this time, a holographic panel that only he could see appeared in front of Chen Luo, which displayed Mo Yuan's mission information, special mission, Demonic Abyss mission content, find the secret of Mo Yuan and awaken Li Feng and Bian Lu. Task tip, death does not mean the end, it just falls into deep sleep and they have been waiting to wake up. From the mission information, we can know that Li Feng and Bian Lu are the couple who died at the hands of the evil soul master. There is still a possibility for them to wake up, otherwise this special mission would not have occurred. The task prompts don't feel very useful, just like saying nonsense. In Chen Luo's opinion, Li Feng and Bian Lu should have been resurrected on the spot by the evil soul master to create undead puppets after they were killed. Now it was certain that the evil soul master and the others had failed, otherwise it would not have been Chen Luo's turn to take over. If you want to find Li Feng and Bian Lu, Guangzhongyang, a know-it-all, is indispensable. Guangzhongyang pondered for a moment, and then said, "Boss, after all, that happened many years ago. I need a certain amount of time to think about it. It would be best if I could draw a map so that you can find it more conveniently, boss." Guangzhonggang didn't mention a word about Chen Luo's purpose. He just carried out the task and accompanied Chen Luo. Okay, just go back to the hotel and quickly draw out the pictures. Let's go there and have a look, Chen Luo said. Guangzhonggang nodded immediately. Okay, boss. After bowing slightly to Chen Luo, Guangzhonggang left. Not long after Guangzhonggang left, Duan Xiao and others came to Chen Luo. Boss, what are your orders? Chen Luo said, I have something to do. You stay in Wuhan City to protect Xiao Wu and wait for my return. Yes. No one has any objections. They always only implement Chen Luo's arrangements. Duan Xiao and Yu Yao are both at Soul Douluo level, and Wai Liang Hao is Soul Saint. The three of them should have no problem protecting Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu had the ring of death on her body, and even if Bibi Duong stood in front of her, she couldn't tell Xiao Wu's identity. Unless Xiao Wu gets crazy and takes off the death ring, nothing will happen. Love Sickness Red is the second guarantee, but according to the plot on the book, this special fairy grass will fall out, but it doesn't matter. This thing is not absolutely reliable. Chen Luo still believes in the Ring of Death. The only possible change is Tang Hao. Chapter 138 The Valley of Death. Tang Hao is a problem that Chen Luo has always been worried about. Apart from himself, the only human soul master who also knows the identity of Xiao's soul beast is Tang Hao. Who would have thought that a titled Douluo would live in such a remote place as Saint Soul Village? Xiao Wu was also unlucky. She couldn't choose anywhere, but she chose Nodding City. You have to ask Third Master about this. There are many problems in Douluo itself. It's okay the first time you watch it, but you will have a lot of doubts after watching it. But novels are all about entertainment, and if they are too realistic, they will be boring. Because of force majeure, this was something that could not be avoided from the beginning. Xiao Wu was destined to go to Nodding City, so was Tang San. And so was Tang Hao, who was behind Tang San. It is estimated that Xiao Wu's appearance near Nodding City has attracted Tang Hao's attention. The 10-year-old soul beast has a fatal attraction for any soul master. Tang Hao did not attack Xiao Wu because he just wanted to keep it for Tang San. This is the only reason. The situation in the book is the same, but don't say anything about the feelings between the two children. From the beginning, Tang Hao regarded Xiao Wu as Tang San's future soul ring and soul bone, even though the relationship between Tang San and Xiao Wu later became better and better. It wasn't until Tang San and Xiao Wu's relationship reached a certain level that Tang Hao gave up his murderous intention. To be honest, this reason is still a bit far-fetched. Chen Luo knew very well that his presence or absence would have little impact in the early stage. But Chen Luo still worked hard for Xiao Wu's safety and had been maintaining a good relationship with Tang San. He had been looking for Tang San since the holidays in Nodding City that year. Chen Luo has been working hard to become stronger. He knows very well that when Tang San can absorb the 10-year spirit ring, Xiao Wu will be in the most danger. He had to become strong enough before Tang San became strong, at least have the ability to compete with Tang Hao. Tang Hao was very strong, so ridiculously strong that his whole family was cheating. It can be easily seen from some of Tang Hao's past achievements that this Haoshan Douluo is indeed a very powerful existence. Even Jin Zunji, the former pope of Wuhan Palace, fell into the hands of Tang Hao. Even if he was not killed directly by Tang Hao, his death was closely related to Tang Hao. Let's talk about Kang Sinjina. After all, he absolutely crushes Tang Hao in terms of soul power level. Peak Douluo can't beat title Douluo. Are you kidding? Poor martial spirit? Others are angel martial souls. Poor resources? The Pope of Wuhan Palace has an ultimate Douluo father behind him, so how could he be short of resources? But even such a being who could not lose was defeated by Tang Hao with a hammer. And it's not a one-on-one fight, it's a group fight. Isn't this cheating? Even if Tang Hao is not in peak condition now and is still injured, Chen Luo does not dare to underestimate this Haoshan Douluo. But Chen Luo already has the confidence to protect Xiao Wu. His own strength has not yet grown to the point where he can fight Tang Hao, but the resources he possesses can barely compete with Tang Hao. There are two Soul Douluo, Yu Yao and Duan Xiao, and two Soul Saints, Wai Liang Hao and Guangzhonggang. Even if Wai Liang Hao and Guangzhonggang, who are Soul Saints, are cannon fodder in front of Tang Hao, Yu Yao and Duan Xiao, who are Soul Douluo, can still contain him for a while. Besides, Chen Luo also has a real killer move, the Black Curse. Black Curse once had a peak Douluo level of combat power. Even if he cannot exert such a powerful force now, he is definitely an extremely terrifying existence. At least it will not be a problem to defeat the residual health version of Tang Hao. Tang Hao had been watching Tang San's growth silently behind the scenes, and he must have also seen Chen Luo's growth. Of course, it was impossible for this Haoshan Douluo to transfer all his attention from his precious son to Chen Luo. At best, just pay attention. Even if he saw Chen Luo's terrifying growth rate, it was impossible for Tang Hao to take action against Chen Luo, or he didn't take Chen Luo to heart at all. Although the relationship between Chen Luo and Tang San could not reach that of brotherhood, they could still be considered relatively good friends and could never be enemies. During the days when Tang San was growing up alone, Chen Luo and Xiao Wu had always been with him, and Tang Hao had no reason to attack Chen Luo. Unless Tang Hao also knows the plot of Douluo. During some periods of time, Tang Hao was also absent. He couldn't always be by Tang San's side. Otherwise, by the time Douluo captured Tang San, Douluo would have died 1,000 times over. Encountering danger on the way to Wuhan City, Tang San was also on a thin line between life and death, and Tang Hao didn't take action. There was no way he would risk Tang San's life on Sword Douluo Chengxin and the others taking action. The only possibility was that they weren't there at the time. Just because you're not there sometimes doesn't mean you're not there all the time. According to the normal plot development, this Haoshan Doma will appear again soon, and Haoshan's identity will reappear in the Pope's palace. Maybe there will be changes. After all, Xiao Wu's identity will not be exposed inexplicably. It was impossible for Bibi Dong to attack Tang San and the others without any reason, and maybe even this good show wouldn't happen. But who can guarantee that? Chen Luo has always been a very cautious person. If the Black Curse hadn't been special, he would have even wanted to keep the Black Curse beside Xiao Wu to protect him. With Yu Yao, Duan Xiao and Wei Liang Hao protecting Xiao Wu, Chen Luo was still a little worried and asked Gong Zhongyang to communicate with Sword Douluo to help look after Xiao Wu. There were no conditions before, but now there are conditions. Of course, we must ensure Xiao Wu's safety as much as possible. He has been working hard just to protect Xiao Wu. After making arrangements for Duan Xiao and the others, Chen Luo returned to the hotel. What Chen Luo didn't expect was that Gong Zhongyang was very efficient and had already drawn the map simply. Seeing Chen Luo's arrival, Gong Zhongyang immediately guessed what Chen Luo was thinking. "Boss, it won't take long to go here. This place is not far from Wuhan City. It only takes 2 or 3 days to go back and forth. It is relatively hidden. It is difficult for ordinary people to find it. But with me leading the way, there will be no problem." Guang Zhongyang said with a smile. Chen Luo nodded lightly. "That's good. If the distance is far and it takes a long time, Chen Luo will consider waiting until the Soul Master Elite competition is over before going. But if it's nearby, then just go there. Anyway, the Soul Master Elite competition will still be going on for a while. At least during this time Xiao Wu will be relatively safe." It was impossible for Tang Hao to cause trouble in Wuhan Palace for no reason. If he really had such a plan, he would probably have taken action long ago. Special tasks generally don't take long, but they are more dangerous. If everything goes well and it takes a few days to complete the Demon Abyss mission, and with a couple Li Feng and Bian Luo as their fighting force, the sense of security will be truly great. "Boss, when will we set off?" Guang Zhongyang asked with a smile. Chen Luo said, "Let's go now." Before leaving Wuhan City, Chen Luo arranged everything properly and handed the skull ring on his body to Yu Yao. This special treasure could be useful at critical moments. Guang Zhongyang also had a chat with Sword Douluo. Sword Douluo said that there was no problem. It must be said that this former swordsman genius evil soul master had really good interpersonal resources. Chen Luo is not worried about his own safety. He still has a black curse on him. If the black curse can't solve the danger, then Yu Yao and the others won't have much effect if they are all around him. Chen Luo also knew very well that the most important thing in this trip was to rely on himself. "Boss, the place we are going to is called Death Valley." After embarking on the journey, Guang Zhongyang began to introduce the Valley of Death to Chen Luo. Chapter 139 Illusion. The Valley of Death existed many years ago. It is said that there is a very special power in the valley that can destroy all living things. Everything in the valley is dead. Guang Zhongyang said. At this time, Chen Luo was already on Guang Zhongyang's demon-slaying sword. Guang Zhongyang was maintaining the state of his martial soul avatar, controlling the demon-slaying sword to move forward at an extremely fast speed. The martial spirit avatars used to travel, and it is estimated that only Chen Luo's undead spirit can have such luxury. Guangzhonggang did not explode with all his strength, but controlled his strength to make the Wuhan avatar last longer. After all, the place they wanted to go could not be reached in a short while. The undead is good, there is no need to worry about any negative effects, and the recovery speed of soul power is also extremely terrifying. Chen Luo lowered his head and looked at the sword body of the demon-slaying sword. This dark long sword was covered with special lines. At this time, those lines were emitting a faint light, supporting him and Guangzhonggang to move forward. "Boss, is my demon-slaying sword okay?" Guangzhonggang noticed Chen Luo's gaze and said with a smile. Chen Luo nodded lightly. "Very handsome. I think so too. I feel that my demon-slaying sword is much more handsome than my brother's demon-slaying sword. Senior brother's 7 killing sword is the ugliest." Guangzhonggang said with a smile on his face. "Chen Luo, let's talk about the Valley of Death." Guangzhonggang nodded and continued, "Powerful power makes people fearful and desirable. It seems that the titled Douluo couple got a treasure back then and wanted to rely on that treasure to enter the Valley of Death to gain strength. We, the evil soul master, has always had thoughts about the two of them, and after getting the news that they were going to enter the Valley of Death, he took action immediately. For ordinary people, the Valley of Death is a forbidden place of death, but for us evil soul masters, it is a natural fighting treasure. We have long discovered the existence of the Valley of Death and conducted experiments using undead puppets. Death, a spirit puppet, will not be swallowed by the special power in the Valley of Death, and will become stronger because of that power. If that couple had not entered the Valley of Death, perhaps we evil soul masters would not have acted so quickly, because we are not absolutely sure of killing them. I only remember this part of my memory when I was recalling the Valley of Death, otherwise I would have mentioned it all together when I was talking about the demon abyss." Chen Luo nodded slightly. "Your memory is so good, you can remember so many things." Guangzhonggang smiled. "They are all things that have a deep impression, so it is difficult to forget. If possible, I would rather choose to forget the part of the memory of being an evil soul master." Chen Luo said, "I can help you do it." Guangzhonggang, "Let's forget it. I think those memories will be somewhat helpful to you, boss." "Yeah, that's right." Chen Luo nodded. "It's good to have a know-it-all by your side. It's convenient for you to do anything." If Guangzhonggang hadn't died so early, he would probably know a little bit about Douluo's secrets. Chen Luo felt that Guangzhonggang had at least half of the credit for triggering the special mission of Mo Yuan. If this special task can be successfully completed, Guangzhonggang will also be indispensable. Guangzhonggang told the story of the demon abyss, and Guangzhonggang also remembered the mission location and drew a map very thoughtfully. Guangzhonggang also knows the information about the mission location. It is really comfortable to have such a capable helper. Under the leadership of Guangzhonggang, Chen Luo quickly arrived near the Valley of Death. Decades have passed, but not much has changed here. Even if some places have changed, Guangzhonggang can immediately find the right path. They did not waste too much time on the road and walked a little. It's a mistake, but it's not a big problem. "Boss, this is the Forest of Death where the Valley of Death is located. It used to be called the Forest of Death, but I don't know what it's called now. It was in this forest that I saw the power of the demon abyss. Later, when they entered the Valley of Death to fight, I didn't see it. In my impression, the Valley of Death was somewhere in the corner of the Forest of Death. Since that incident, there is less and less news about Death Valley. This is all I know." Chen Luo looked around at this Forest of Death, which was no different from an ordinary soul beast forest, and nodded slightly. "It's already pretty good. If I were left alone to explore, I probably wouldn't even be able to find this place." With that said, Chen Luo directly released a black curse and the hell demon spider. The nightmare centipede and the king of the earth also thought of it, and Chen Luo fulfilled their wishes. For a moment, Chen Luo was surrounded by dead souls. Titled Douluo level, a bloody man with a black curse wearing heavy armor. A nearly 4-year-old soul beast level hell demon spider. The king of the earth who was in his early 2 years. A nightmare centipede that is more than 7,000 years old. Coupled with the soul saint Guangzhonggang standing next to Chen Luo, this is all the power Chen Luo has at the moment. Chen Luo had just sensed that there was no one around here. He suspected that there was no one in this forest, and he had not seen a single figure on the way here. The reason why he released Black Curse and the others was not just to let them breathe. The main reason was that he sensed the crisis and asked them to guard him and nip it in the bud. Chen Luo even revealed the Death God's armor and Death God's boots, preparing himself for any eventuality. Boss, this place is a little weird. We seem to have entered an illusion. The sound of the black curse sounded, and he, who was very good at illusions, was very sensitive to illusions and immediately noticed some clues. You try to use your special ability to break the illusion. Black curse reminded. Chen Luo nodded slightly, trying to actively activate the effect of the Death God's armor, but there was no reaction. It seemed that only when he was in danger, the Death God's armor would take effect instantly, making him immune to all soul and mental attacks. Illusion. Guangzhongyang seemed to have remembered something, and immediately smiled and said, "That means we are not far from the Valley of Death. We also entered the illusion back then. The title Douluo couple and our evil soul masters peak Douluo level undead puppet fought in the illusion, and they fought before entering the Valley of Death. I was just a little guy making up the numbers at the time. These special circumstances were told to me by a Contra-level evil soul master. Enter the illusion and fight in the illusion? In the end, do you enter the Valley of Death in the illusion?" There were many question marks in Chen Luo's mind. He seemed to understand a little, but he seemed not to understand anything. Black Curse said, "This is also possible. The most powerful illusion is based on reality. We are indeed here now." Forest of Death? Guangzhongyang reminded. Black Curse continued, "We are indeed in the Forest of Death now, but maybe we are entering another Forest of Death? You can say it's an illusion, but maybe this is the most real Forest of Death? Boss, you are special. It is estimated that when you enter a certain range, you will automatically rush into the illusion." Chapter 140 Fog. Chapter 140 It's foggy. Senior Black Curse is right. It must be because you are special, boss, so you directly triggered the illusion and let us directly enter the illusion together. Guangzhongyang said. Back then, evil soul masters spent a lot of time and energy trying to enter the illusion, and even paid a lot of money for it. At least 20 evil soul masters at the Soul King level set up formations, and they were basically defeated. Due to the backlash of the formation, fewer than 5 survived in the end, and then they reluctantly entered the illusion. It's not difficult to enter this illusion. Black Curse said calmly. Guangzhongyang. Listening to what Teju and Guangzhongyang were talking about, Chen Luo's eyes scanned the surrounding environment. They were in a forest at this time. The forest looked very ordinary. It was no different from an ordinary soul beast forest. There were not many trees, but more of a dense jungle. Whether it was trees or a jungle, it was always dense. It gives people a very dark feeling. If you don't look carefully, you may not notice it, but now that you have discovered it, you will feel that this place has been smeared with a layer of gray, making everything here darker. Let me just say, even if many years have passed and no one can be seen in the Forest of Death, it doesn't matter. There won't be a soul beast at all. It turns out that we have entered the illusion. This is better. It saves us more time. Find a way to get in here. Guangzhongyang said with a smile. Chen Luo frowned slightly. Why didn't you say this at the beginning? Guangzhongyang smiled coquettishly. Just as I was about to say something, Senior Black Curse spoke first. Chen Luo sighed in his heart. Sometimes Guangzhongyang was quite reliable, but sometimes he was very speechless. He obviously knew everything, but he didn't say it all at once. He only spoke after arriving at the designated place. Of course, this does not rule out that this guy really just remembered it. He is already very good at being able to remember everything. Next, let's just go straight to the Valley of Death. Guangzhongyang said, in this illusion, I should be able to find it soon. Oh, by the way, some special situations may arise later, so be sure to pay attention. Guangzhongyang recalled for a moment before speaking. If I remember correctly, soon after entering the illusion, fog will begin. Fog. Yes, it's foggy. Guangzhongyang was trying hard to recall, and after a while he said, it's just like ordinary fog. That is, after entering the fog, some extremely weird things will happen, and you may encounter dead objects that exist in the illusion. After saying that, Guangzhongyang smiled, but you don't need to worry about this. The probability is very low and it is difficult to encounter. After most people enter the fog, nothing special will happen. They just need to wait for the fog to disappear. For example, that's what happened to me. Chen Luo looked at Black Curse. This was an expert in illusions. Black Curse said, I have encountered this situation before. The so-called mist is a special medium that connects illusions with reality. We will indeed encounter strange situations, and they are very dangerous. Either we cannot encounter them, or if we encounter them, we will encounter them. Once it's there, it's hard to get out of it. Illusion and reality are opposites. You can regard illusion as reality, or you can regard reality as illusion. It depends on one's own choice. But whether it's an illusion or reality, they are always connected by a special passage. In that special passage, there are dead objects or other terrifying creatures. Once encountered, they will basically be in a situation where they will never die. Want to devour everything, or turn you into them, they're called weapons. The weapons in each channel are different because the creators of the illusion are different. The creator of the illusion can control that special passage and store his own weapons in that special passage. I have tried to use the passage before, but it didn't have much effect. In the end, I had to use it as a weapon to store things in the passage. It sounds simple, but it is extremely difficult to do. First, there must be something to store. To save, secondly, you have to be able to save in. There are many mysteries in this, and I still haven't fully figured it out. Listening to what Gongzhongyang said, the passage here is indeed very dangerous. The illusion here is either formed naturally or made by someone. If it is really made by a person, then he cannot be called a human, but God. This is no longer a simple illusion. It has been used as a passage itself, and a passage has been built within the passage. This is no longer something that humans can do, at least I can't do it. Even if you give me more time, I can do it. Not even. After hearing this, Guangzhongyang swallowed his saliva and said softly, "Senior Black Curse, don't say something so mysterious and scary, okay?" Black Curse said calmly, "I'm just expounding my own point of view." "Well, Senior Black Curse is right." Guangzhongyang immediately agreed. Chen Luo had been in a cautious state, but after hearing what Black Curse said, he immediately entered a state of high alert. Black Curse said a lot, but Chen Luo only understood a rough outline, and finally summarized it in 2 sentences. This illusion is so impressive that even the title Douluo Black Curse, who is good at illusions, marvels at its strength and even calls it a miracle. The special things that exist in the illusion are very dangerous. It is best not to encounter them. Once you encounter them, you will most likely be in trouble. After summarizing, you can't be careful. But actually thinking about it, it seems that being careful is useless, because this is not something you can avoid if you are careful. Guangzhongyang also said just now that fog will definitely happen. As for what you will encounter in the fog, it depends purely on your own luck. Under normal circumstances, there is no danger. But what about the second situation? No one can say for sure. Moreover, Chen Luo had a very ominous premonition. He sensed the presence of danger as soon as he entered the illusion, and he felt that there was a high chance that he would be the unlucky one later. It was not a problem to just wait on the spot. Chen Luo ordered the undead to guard him and moved forward slowly, approaching the center of the death forest. The fog will come when it comes, face it calmly. And not long after Chen Luo and the others moved forward, the fog really appeared. As Guangzhongyang said, it is just like ordinary fog, but it appears a little strange, as if it appears out of thin air. And as soon as the fog appears, it instantly becomes extremely dense, making it difficult to see everything around you, and there is also a very humid feeling. Even if the dead souls are around him, Chen Luo can't see them. He can't even see his own body. You must know that he has always been very confident in his eyes. It doesn't matter if you can't see them, at least Chen Luo can sense the presence of Black Curse and the others. However, Chen Luo soon felt a chill behind him. He could no longer sense the presence of the undead, as if the special connection between him and the undead had been cut off. Chapter 141 Chen Luo without the undead. This is a situation that Chen Luo has never encountered before. Ever since he owned the necromancer space and obtained his first necromancer, he has never broken off his connection with the necromancer, no matter how far away he is from the necromancer and in various special situations. Under such circumstances, the connection with the dead is always maintained. The current situation where he could not directly sense the undead was really the first time Chen Luo had encountered it, and it instantly sent chills down his back. Chen Luo is very confident in his own strength, but he always knows that his real combat power lies in the undead, and most of his sense of security is brought by the undead brothers. To put it bluntly, he might not even be able to defeat Gongzhongyang. Oh no, this evil soul master swordsman genius is still capable. He probably couldn't even beat Wei Lianghao. Even though Wei Lianghao seemed very bulky and focused on defense, he was still no match for Wei Lianghao. If he really had to fight head-on, the outcome would not be much better. After all, the gap in soul power levels is an insurmountable gap. Chen Luo had previously conducted combat training with Zhao Wuji, Liu Erlong and the others, and was able to achieve some results, all because Zhao Wuji and the others did not let go and fought with all their strength. Otherwise, how could he, a small soul sect, be a soul saint? And the opponent of Contra? Even if immortality is turned on, it is at most somewhere between the Soul King and the Soul Emperor, and still cannot make a big wave. Although he is already very strong and has achieved such achievements at such a young age, he has almost reached the Soul King level before he was 15 years old, and his combat power far exceeds that of a Soul King. It is estimated that ordinary Soul Emperors are no match for him. But, it's still not enough. With the undead brothers by his side all the time, Chen Luo was almost ready to fully adapt to this absolutely safe environment. The current situation directly brought Chen Luo back to the real reality. Only when you are absolutely strong can you be truly powerful. Losing contact with the undead made Chen Luo lose a lot of sense of security, but Chen Luo was not completely panicked. He quickly calmed down. Chen Luo immediately activated his martial spirit. Possessed by the shadow of death, he instantly gained more powerful power. 4 spirit rings, 2 purple and 2 black, were suspended on his body. Holding the death side, he regained his confidence. Then he contacted the death bracelet, but unfortunately, he didn't get any response from the death bracelet. Obviously, even if he puts the black curse and the others into the necromantic space, they cannot be summoned at this time, which is not much different from the current separation. The death armor and death boots are always worn on the body, and the effects they have are still there. With increased strength and speed, Chen Luo could clearly feel the powerful increase brought to him by these 2 artifacts. However, the special effects of the death armor may have failed. It is immune to soul and mental attacks. If the effect is activated, it is estimated that Chen Luo will not face this situation. Chen Luo didn't care too much about this. Even the connection between the undead could be cut off, so there was nothing surprising about the fact that the death armor's effect was blocked. This place is really weird. Chen Luo sighed secretly in his heart and maintained a state of high concentration. He tried to sense everything around him, but to no avail. The unknowns of rushing forward were even greater, so he could only choose to wait. Guangshongyang said that fogging is a normal phenomenon, just wait until the fog disappears unless. Unlucky, something weird happened. Chen Luo always had a bad feeling in his heart. He always felt that danger was constantly approaching him. After turning on immortality, Chen Luo was covered with the black flames. After Chen Luo absorbed the Earth King's soul ring, black flame improved to a higher level, with all aspects greatly improved, the most significant of which was the terrifying high temperature. Since Chen Luo is the controller of the black flame, he will not be affected by any negative effects, but the high temperature of the black flame still exists. The moment the black flames rose, the surrounding mist began to evaporate. Soon, a small circle of fog-free area appeared around Chen Luo. However, this did not bring a good feeling to Chen Luo. Instead, it made him feel that he was trapped in the fog and limited to this small area within the area. The fog around him disappeared, and Chen Luo could now see part of his surroundings. Although the visible range was very small, he was still able to tell that he was still in the illusory death forest, still in his original position. However, Black Curse and the others disappeared. Chen Luo wasn't surprised. He couldn't sense their presence when it was foggy. The connection that had never been isolated was actually cut off in the fog. It was reasonable for Black Curse and the others to disappear. Although from the perspective of the environment, Chen Luo is still in the same place, Chen Luo has a special feeling that he has come to another world, or another illusion. If the normal forest of death is called reality, then the forest of death that he and the undead entered is an illusion. There are no people or soul beasts there. Except for the trees and jungles in the forest, there is nothing there. No. At this time, this forest of death with only oneself is another illusion. Chen Luo didn't know where this feeling came from, but this thought came to his mind. Since the black flame can directly evaporate the mist, let me make this narrow space bigger first. Chen Luo activated all his soul power, and the black flames on his body became more powerful. Chen Luo waved the death side, and the second soul ring on his body suddenly lit up, and the flames of his second soul skill exploded. There is no need to touch the target. As long as the soul skill is activated, the flames can still burst out. The terrifying black flames instantly swept out from the death side, and a large area of mist around it was evaporated. The effect of Li Yan's soul skills is still very impressive, but it also consumes a lot of soul power. However, Chen Luo's soul power recovery speed is extremely terrifying. He will not directly use up his soul power after releasing it dozens of times. He even only needs to pause in the middle to consume his soul power. The speed cannot keep up with the speed of recovery. This is the qualitative change after Chen Luo is promoted to Soul Master. Others have to worry about consumption and worry about this and that when using soul skills, but Chen Luo doesn't have to worry about this at all. In this regard, Chen Luo feels that he is quite similar to the undead. When he activated his martial spirit, Chen Luo had already sensed the changes in his soul power. Although this special place was strange, it did not seem to limit the use and recovery of his soul power. Otherwise, Chen Luo would not directly activate immortality. He can now use immortality for nearly infinite time, but the soul power consumed by immortality is still extremely terrifying. If there is no soul power recovery, turning on immortality is equivalent to draining himself quickly. Even if the soul power stored in his body was extremely terrifying, far superior to all soul masters of the same level, but he couldn't afford such a squandering. As long as the soul power recovery is not affected, then everything is fine. With the help of the Death God's technique, Chen Luo's soul power recovery speed was extremely terrifying. In addition, with the help of the Death God's armor, the recovery speed was almost invincible. Chen Luo used the flames more than 10 times in succession to clear the surrounding fog, but soon he found that he was doing useless work because the fog had disappeared on its own. Chapter 142 Resurrection of Dead Things. The surrounding environment became clearer and clearer, and Chen Luo became more and more certain that he was exactly where he was before he was swept away by the mist. There is a pile of dense bushes not far ahead, and there is a tree slightly smaller than other trees on the left front. Chen Luo could see these obvious signs at a glance. Long before the fog arrived, Chen Luo had written down some characteristics of the surrounding environment, which now came in handy. Although the surrounding environment has not changed, it does not mean that I am still in the original place. I still feel that I have come to a new illusion. After making a judgment in his mind, Chen Luo quickly overturned his judgment. The idea of entering other illusions that he had thought of before had appeared in his mind again, and he was out of control after it appeared. Swish swish. There was obviously no wind here, but Chen Luo still felt a chill coming towards him, and then Chen Luo heard a slight sound. This kind of noise is very strange, like many bugs crawling quickly. Maybe 1 or 2 bugs cannot make such a big noise, but it is because of their large number that they can make an audible sound. As soon as the sound appeared, it became louder and louder, and got closer and closer to Chen Luo. At the same time, Chen Luo also noticed an extremely strong sense of crisis. Chen Luo did not panic because of this. He held the death scythe tightly and maintained a highly concentrated state. He looked straight ahead. The special sound came from directly in front, far behind the bushes. The sound got closer and closer, already behind the bushes. Chen Luo saw a flash of gray through some gaps between the bushes. Is it gray? He wasn't sure whether he saw it clearly, but he quickly verified what he had in mind. It's gray. He saw it clearly this time. But what exactly it is unknown. What is certain is that the danger comes from them. Swish swish. The increasingly dense sounds came behind the bushes. Chen Luo wanted to go forward and see what was behind the bushes, but he finally held back. Call. Suddenly there was the sound of something burning, and a layer of gray flames attached to the bushes. The flames quickly swept through the entire bush, and even the big tree not far away was not spared. In just a few breaths, the entire bush was burned clean, not even ashes were left, and the same was true for the unlucky big tree next to it. It was an indescribable speed, so fast that you couldn't react at all. With nothing blocking him, Chen Luo finally saw the gray things clearly, or to be precise, those gray things. It is a group of gray spiders, some big and small. The small one is only as big as a thumb, and the big one is as thick as a fist. Their appearance characteristics can be clearly seen through larger spiders. It has 9 black eyes arranged in 3 rows, its legs are thick, its whole body is covered with gray fur, and its sharp fangs shine with cold light, making it look particularly ferocious. After seeing these gray spiders, Chen Luo subconsciously looked around, and he was actually surrounded by gray spiders. They're all dead. Chen Luo's expression was solemn. He could not sense any life breath from those gray spiders. After the gray spider appeared, it did not immediately move towards Chen Luo, but burned everything around it with gray flames. After a while, a large area around Chen Luo became a vacuum zone. All the trees and bushes disappeared under the gray flames, replaced by countless gray spiders. After the area was cleared, gray spiders began to approach Chen Luo. Their speed was not fast, but they gave people a sense of uniformity. At this time, Chen Luo swung the death scythe and slashed towards the ground, and the fourth soul ring on his body suddenly lit up. The fourth soul skill, Black Flame Impact. The sickle blade of the death god scythe sank into the ground easily, and then a powerful force suddenly rose from a large area around Chen Luo along with a terrifying high temperature. Black flames rushed out from the ground like a tide, killing countless gray spiders. Swallowed, burned to ashes in an instant. Black Flame Impact is the fourth soul skill that Chen Luo acquired after obtaining the Earth King's soul ring. After using it, it can cause a large area around itself to instantly burst out with black flames. The black flames are extremely hot and possess all the attributes of Chen Luo's black flames. It has the paralyzing poison of poisonous flames and the explosion of flames. This fourth soul skill, Black Flame Impact, is still very powerful, but it requires a certain amount of charging time. In the past days, Chen Luo was surrounded by powerful undead guardians, and he didn't even have the chance to use soul skills. Now that he needs to face everything alone, he can practice all the skills he has not used for a long time. As early as when the gray spider appeared, Chen Luo was already charging up the Black Flame Impact. He would not wait foolishly for the gray spider to attack him. After the Black Flame Impact was released, all the gray spiders in a large area around Chen Luo were killed, but there were still countless gray spiders rushing towards Chen Luo like a tide. Chen Luo did not sit back and wait for death, but took the initiative to attack. He waved the death scythe and released streams of flames. The black flames mercilessly devoured the gray spiders approaching Chen Luo. But no matter how hard Chen Luo tried, he still couldn't get rid of all the gray spiders. The gray spiders seemed to be countless, and they could not be killed no matter how hard they were killed. Fortunately, Chen Luo's soul power recovery speed was strong enough, otherwise he would have been exhausted and unable to fight. Although Black Flame Blast is powerful, you need to wait for a long time before using it again. If Black Flame Blast can be used continuously like a raging flame, the clearing effect will be great. It's not a problem if I continue like this. No matter how much my soul power is stored, no matter how fast my soul power is restored, there will be times when it is exhausted. Even if my soul power is not exhausted, my energy will be exhausted. We have to find the source of the gray spider. Chen Luo immediately made a decision in his heart. After choosing a direction, he immediately rushed in that direction, using the flames to continuously open the way. The gray spiders that are closer to Chen Luo will also take the initiative to attack. They continue to spit out gray flames, but the gray flames cannot attack Chen Luo. Chen Luo's speed is too fast. With the God of Death, with a bonus of his boots, he was as fast as flying. If Chen Luo was not fast enough, he would not dare to rush into the gray spiders rashly, which would be tantamount to seeking death. The power of the gray flames was visible, and it was far from something Chen Luo could resist, so he could only choose to avoid it. Everything went much smoother than Chen Luo imagined. It didn't take him long to rush out of the surrounding gray spiders. And he found the source of the gray spider, a gray stream. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. One person forms a group in the gray stream. Gray spiders kept rushing out, and the scene was extremely terrifying. If a patient with trypophobia comes here, they will definitely go crazy. Chen Luo originally thought that the gray spiders surrounding him were scary enough, but they were nothing compared to the situation in front of him. The gray spiders in front of me were densely packed together, and the gray stream was not a stream. Chen Luo looked carefully and saw that it was a stream formed by countless insect eggs. Gray spiders rush out from the eggs. Their growth rate is extremely terrifying. From the time they appear to the time they land, they can grow to the size of a thumb. Later, they will kill each other. It is under these circumstances that a gray spider as big as a fist or even larger appears. They grow by devouring their own kind, but they are not crazy, otherwise those gray spiders would not rush towards Chen Luo. Only a small number of gray spiders are gifted and can constantly cannibalize their own kind and improve themselves without their kind noticing. But the degree to which they can improve varies from person to person. Some of the same kind can only grow to the size of 2 thumbs no matter how much they eat, while some can grow to the size of a fist. Chen Luo also saw a bigger presence here. Among the dense gray spiders, there were several gray spiders as big as a basin. They didn't seem to be interested in Chen Luo. Even if Chen Luo came nearby, they were still devouring their own kind, and their size was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. Chen Luo came here not to see the growth process of strange creatures, he came here to completely solve the trouble. After he arrived here, he was attacked by countless gray spiders. Fortunately, he was fast enough and would not stay in the same place for too long. The gray flames released by the gray spiders could only catch up to his back. This is the real benefit of being fast. Even if the danger is right in front of you, you can still avoid it. While constantly dodging, Chen Luo was of course also fighting back against the gray spiders. He also had to fight back. If he didn't clear a wide enough path, he would be surrounded by all the gray spiders in the next second, and even his speed would not be able to save him. Chen Luo used Black Flame Impact again, directly clearing away the surrounding gray, and finally reached the edge of the gray creek. Without saying a word, flames burst out 4 or 5 times. The black flame submerged into the gray stream, instantly reducing the capacity of the gray stream by more than half, and countless gray insect eggs disappeared in the black flames. Chen Luo also wanted to leave the black flame impact to the gray stream, but there were too many gray spiders around. He could only use the black flame impact to open a way. If he used the flames, he would be farther and farther away from the gray stream. Finding the origin is a lucky thing, but if you want to stay here and destroy the origin, you have to rely on your own abilities. After using the flames against the gray stream several times, Chen Luo had to confront the gray spiders around him. He had to pause the output, otherwise the gray flames would catch up with him immediately. At this time, Chen Luo was relatively grateful for his soul power storage and terrifying soul power recovery speed. If it weren't for this powerful foundation, he would have been drowned in gray flames and disappeared from the world. I have to thank myself for all my hard work before level, otherwise I wouldn't be where I am today. It is precisely the continuous compression, and consolidation and consolidation before level, that can completely take off after level, Sometimes walking slowly doesn't mean you can't do it, but it means you want to go further. Continuously killing monsters is an extremely boring thing, but Chen Luo still persists. Compared to my own life, what does this little negative emotion mean? Under Chen Luo's constant pulling in efforts, the capacity of the gray stream became less and less, and the speed at which gray spiders appeared was also greatly reduced. There were no fewer gray spiders surrounding Chen Luo. They were still so dense. Chen Luo was always walking on the line between life and death. It can be said that the gray spider can make countless mistakes, but Chen Luo only has one chance to make a mistake. If the opportunity is used up, the man is gone. Chen Luo has not experienced this feeling for a long time. He has to thank himself for never losing his true heart under the protection of the undead brothers. He still works hard every day and constantly examines himself every day to let himself have a very calm heart. If others had such powerful power, they would probably have drifted away long ago. After enjoying it for a period of time, when faced with a problem alone, just cool off. When facing these gray spiders, Chen Luo's nerves were tense but he was still calm, and all his handling was extremely appropriate. Of course, if it had not been handled properly, he would have been gone. This is an extremely grueling process. You have such a slim chance to survive, and you have to work hard to seize that slim chance. The hope is slim, but there is some hope. Constantly repeating killing and dodging on the line between life and death, calculating everything with extreme accuracy. I don't know how long it took, but the number of gray spiders around Chen Luo became less and less. Chen Luo could finally focus more on drying up the stream. The gray spiders attacking him were no longer threatening, and Chen Luo would even wait until they were almost gathered before dealing with them in a unified manner. There are still gray spiders crawling out of the gray stream, but the speed is much slower than before. If the scene where the gray spiders appeared before was compared to the tide, then the gray spiders now appear like water droplets. It was such an exaggeration, because Chen Luo was almost cutting off the source of the gray spider. Another burst of flames fell, followed by an impact of black flames. The gray stream was finally close to drying up, but something that made Chen Luo desperate happened. The gray stream quickly filled up again. All Chen Luo's efforts seemed to be in vain, and everything returned to the initial stage. When Chen Luo saw this scene, he wanted to die, but in desperation, he had to continue working hard just to survive. Under siege by gray spiders, Chen Luo happened to pass by a gray spider the size of a table, and a glimmer of light flashed in his eyes. The gray spider the size of a table does not attack. It has been obsessed with one thing from the beginning, which is to devour its own kind and continue to grow. The black flame impact that had just cooled down was used immediately. The surrounding gray spiders were killed, and Chen Luo entered a short period of safety. Then Chen Luo was seen wielding the death scythe and slashing at the gray spider the size of a table. The scythe blade sank into the gray spider's body with great ease. "Wake!" Chen Luo shouted in his heart, looking forward to the special process of waking up. Soon, the soul power was being taken away, and the awakening began. A hint of surprise flashed across Chen Luo's face, and after a while, the look of surprise became even stronger. Because, the awakening is over. This speed was faster than Chen Luo's imagination. Chen Luo waved his hand, and the gray spider that tipped like a table immediately launched an attack on its kind. The terrifying gray flame finally no longer attacked Chen Luo, but swept away towards the gray spider. Even the gray spider, the creator of the gray flame, could not survive the gray flame. In an instant, a large area of gray spiders was burned into nothingness. Chapter 144 Move on. Chen Luo planned to revive the gray spider from the beginning. No matter whether he succeeded or not, he had to try it. But the gray spider's attack was so fierce that it was difficult for him to find a chance. The most important thing is that Chen Luo doesn't want to waste time on ordinary gray spiders. Even if the gray spider as big as a thumb wakes up successfully, it won't have much effect. If you want to play, just go big and find a larger gray spider for experiment. You have to take risks anyway, so just choose the target with the highest risk and the highest reward. The gray spider as big as a table was specially left by Chen Luo, otherwise it would have died in Chen Luo's hands. Chen Luo has been waiting for such an opportunity to come. Although the timing was not perfect, he still tried it, and the final result was very good, even beyond Chen Luo's expectation. To be honest, Chen Luo didn't feel confident at all when he revived the gray spider as big as a table. He was worried that the awakening would fail. After all, the gray spider was already dead and very special. Secondly, he was worried that if he woke up for too long and those other gray spiders would surround him, his situation would be very bad. The time that the black flame can last is very limited, and the time left for him to wake up is actually not long. This was also true. Chen Luo had just finished waking up the gray spider as big as a table, and other gray spiders rushed over. Fortunately, the time to wake up was just enough, otherwise, Chen Luo's situation would have been very embarrassing. Just call you Xiao away, and let's go find your other brothers. Chen Luo casually gave the table-sized gray spider a name, and then directed it to open a path and approach the other giant gray spiders. The addition of Xiao Wei helped Chen Luo relieve a lot of pressure. Not only is it large in size, it is also very powerful. Gray flames were seen spitting out from Xiao Wei's mouth, and all the gray spiders that kept coming turned into nothingness. Those gray spiders could no longer pose any threat to Chen Luo. Soon, Chen Luo and Xiao Wei came to another giant gray spider. It was also the target that Chen Luo deliberately stated, and now it was time to close the net. Ordering Xiao Wei to clean up the gray spiders around him, Chen Luo immediately revived the giant gray spider in front of him. The result of waking up was naturally the same as Xiao Wei's. The time spent was very short and everything went very smoothly. Just call me Xiao Wei number 2. Chen Luo didn't bother to give them names and just used numbers. They looked exactly the same, but there was a slight difference in body shape. With new members joining, Chen Luo didn't even have to take action himself. The Xiao Wei number 1 and number 2 could easily get rid of all the gray spiders around them. Under Chen Luo's command, they quickly harvested the rest of the giant gray spiders. 3 more members have been added, numbered 3, 4, and 5 respectively. The names seem a bit random. In fact, it doesn't matter if they are numbered or not, just name them. It's strange to say that giant gray spiders like Xiao Wei and the others don't take the initiative to attack. Even when they are in danger, they continue to devour them. When they were awakened, they did not resist at all. They seemed to have only one instinct, which was to continuously devour and grow. It was precisely because of the existence of such a phenomenon that Chen Luo dared to let them continue to develop, otherwise he would have solved them all long ago. Besides, the giant gray spiders constantly devouring other gray spiders can also take some pressure off Chen Luo, although the pressure shared is very limited. There are still a few gray spiders near the gray stream that are constantly devouring and growing, but they are no longer important to Chen Luo. Chen Luo does not have the patience to wait for them to grow up. Moreover, not all gray spiders will continue the process of devouring and growing. Most gray spiders are highly offensive. The 5 existing Xiao were all left behind by Chen Luo after a long period of observation. It is no longer cost-effective to spend that kind of time and energy to select available targets. 5 small grays are completely enough. Any more will not make much difference unless it reaches a certain scale, but that is almost impossible. Chen Luo controlled Xiao number 12,345 to frantically clear away the gray spiders around him, and soon approached the gray stream again, cleaning everything in the stream for the second time. The second time I came to the gray stream, I didn't know how much easier it was than the first time Chen Luo came. Anyway, Chen Luo didn't make any move along the way and relied on 5 Xiao to clear the place. 3 little grays were left to protect themselves, while the remaining 2 little grays continued to attack the stream. This time, the gray stream was cleared faster. After all, Xiao gray flames were not covered by it. Chen Luo also saw that Xiao and the others would devour the gray spiders from time to time when they were clearing the area. Seeing that the gray stream was almost cleared, Chen Luo ordered Xiao and the others to do whatever they wanted and devour all the remaining gray spiders. At the end, Chen Luo even asked Xiao and the others to go directly into the gray stream to feast. After a while, the gray stream was almost swallowed up by the 5 little grays, and the gray stream did not reappear like before. The 5 little grays have all grown to an extremely terrifying level. They were originally the size of a table, but now they are almost the size of a room. The crisis has finally been resolved. Chen Luo breathed a sigh of relief, and his tense nerves finally relaxed a little. He came to Xiao body and watched silently as Xiao and the others devoured the last gray stream, and then witnessed them completely swallowing up the gray stream. Chen Luo was not sure whether only Xiao and the others could clean up the gray stream, or whether the gray stream only had 2 chances to be reborn. No one can say for sure, various scenarios are possible. In any case, the final result was good. The gray stream where the gray spiders came from was finally completely dealt with, and the endless gray spiders finally did not appear again. After the gray stream was swallowed up by the 5 little grays, everything here returned to peace. There is nothing in the area for thousands of meters. Right now, there is only a dry river. Chen Luo sat on Xiao, restored his condition to its best, and then directed Xiao to move towards the center of the death forest. Chen Luo had a hunch that the gray spider was not the only dead thing in the fantasy world. There were many other terrifying existences in the forest of death. There will be no progress if you stay where you are. Only by constantly exploring forward can you have a glimmer of hope. Chapter 145 Wood Giant. Looking back on the entire process of his battle with the gray spider, Chen Luo was still a little frightened. A single gray spider poses no threat to him, but a large number of gray spiders can easily kill him. At this time, recalling the previous descriptions of Gong's Hongyang and Black Curse about the situation after the fog in the illusion, it was really not an exaggeration at all. Either don't encounter strange creatures. Once you encounter them, you will have a narrow escape. With 5 little grays escorting him, Chen Luo finally found some sense of security again, but he did not relax his vigilance because of this. He is always on high alert, ready to fight at any time. Everything here is too weird, and the sensitivity he is so proud of cannot play a big role here. Maybe danger will come in the next second. Soon Chen Luo entered the area with trees and bushes again, and then continued to move towards the center of the forest. No matter what kind of illusion he was in, Chen Luo always believed that the center of the forest would give him the answer he wanted. The Valley of Death is at the center of the Forest of Death. Maybe after he reaches the center of the Forest of Death, he can directly enter the Valley of Death and get rid of this terrifying illusion. Chen Luo has no better way at the moment. He can only take one step at a time and see one step at a time. Only through continuous action can he see hope. If he has to wait in place, he can't do it. After entering the forest, Chen Luo didn't show any mercy to the trees here. He ordered the 5 little greys to open up a spacious road and burn everything into nothingness. The Death Forest is not big. As long as there are no obstacles on the way, it will take less than an hour to reach the center of the forest. But it is obvious that this journey is not destined to be peaceful. The gray spiders Chen Luo encountered at the beginning are the best proof, and they are just appetizers. After walking for a while, Chen Luo and 5 Xiao came to a pile of extremely dense trees. The trees in front are all very thick and tall, with dense branches and leaves. The shortest one is 14 or 5 meters high. They were so dense that the distance between them was less than 1 meter. It would be very difficult to walk through them, especially with 5 Xiao. Chen Luo had no intention of passing between the trees in the first place. He did not need Chen Luo to deliberately direct the 5 little greys. They automatically sprayed out gray flames and cleared the obstacles as before. However, the gray flame that had been tried many times failed to have any effect this time. The 5 little greys released gray flames almost at the same time. The terrifying flames enveloped most of the trees, but in the end they only left a dark mark on those huge trees. Can't be burned? Just when Chen Luo was hesitating and doubtful, the tall trees made a creaking sound. It seemed that they were stimulated by the gray flames, and those huge trees actually came to life. Under Chen Luo's witness, all the trees transformed into wooden giants more than 10 meters high. Wood giants have the basic characteristics of trees. Their skin is extremely rough bark, which is brownish-yellow and covered with dense and complex stripes. Their bodies are very strong, with muscles bulging high, like pieces of extremely hard basalt. The process of turning a huge tree into a wooden giant was extremely fast, so fast that Chen Luo didn't even see it clearly. It seemed that in just a few seconds, all the trees turned into extremely huge wooden giants. After the wooden giants appeared, they didn't stop at all. They rushed toward Chen Luo with great ferocity, as if they wanted to crush Chen Luo into pieces. After Chen Luo realized something was wrong, he immediately ordered Xiao Wei to run away. Because of its huge size, the wooden giant appears to be clumsy in its movements, and that's what it looks like on the surface. But it was also because of their huge bodies that one step was enough for Chen Luo to run for a long time. Chen Luo was very fast, and within a few breaths he was at a safe distance from the wooden giant. But the 5 little greys were not as fast as Chen Luo, and were quickly caught up by the wooden giant. When Chen Luo was running away, he also tried to put the little greys into the dead space, but he couldn't do it at all, otherwise he wouldn't have run so decisively. There was no need for fancy attacks. The wooden giant clenched his fist and easily smashed Xiao Wei into a pile with one punch. The little greys, who seemed extremely powerful not long ago, became so vulnerable in front of these wooden giants that they couldn't even help Chen Luo to stop them for a second or two. None of the 5 little greys were spared, and they were all smashed into pieces by the wooden giant. They also fought back, but their gray flames had no effect on the wooden giants. Logically speaking, fire defeated wood, but the situation in front of them completely subverted this understanding. When Chen Luo saw this scene, he broke out in cold sweat and ran away quickly. There is no need to hesitate, he is no match for those wooden giants. He is like an ant in front of those wooden giants, no matter in terms of strength or size. Not even Xiao Wei's flames could cause any harm to the wood giant, not to mention his black flames. Even if he can cause damage, so what? Even if he kills a wooden giant, he will soon be directly surrounded by other wooden giants and then smashed into meat patties. The 5 little greys earlier are the best proof. Period. Even if you run a little slower, you may be caught, and then you will have no chance to resist, only waiting for death. Chen Luo had no idea of going to revive the wooden giant at this time. It is estimated that the wooden giant crushed him before he even got close. Even if there is a chance to get close to the wooden giant, other wooden giants are not just for food, so he will not have time to wake up at all. The gray spider he met earlier had already given Chen Luo a headache. The wooden giant he met now made Chen Luo feel what real despair was. When facing the gray spider, Chen Luo still had the strength to fight and had a certain confidence in his own strength. But facing these wooden giants, Chen Luo didn't even have the slightest idea of fighting. Is it doomed to be a dead end if you enter here? Chen Luo was confident of escaping from the pursuit of the wooden giant, but it was not easy to keep escaping like this. If he encountered a new danger, he would really be dead. He was really unwilling. It would be great if all his undead brothers were here. With their strength, it would be no problem to deal with the wooden giant. It is estimated that Black Curse alone can easily get rid of all these wooden giants, but it is a pity that they are not here, and there is no sense at all. It would be much better if he was stronger. At least he would have a chance to fight the wooden giant. At this time, he was still too weak. Then run away. Chapter 146 The Slaughter of the Hand Demon Vine. After a while, Chen Luo fled to the vicinity of the gray stream. The gray stream disappeared and did not reappear. At this time, this place was a deserted land. When passing by this place, Chen Luo thought of the 5 little grays who died tragically. It was hard for them to grow to such a big size, but in the end they became cannon fodder. The sense of security I had just accumulated was now all gone. Why are Xiao Wei so unbeatable? They don't look bad either. Or is it that the power of those wooden giants is simply too great and beyond what Xiao Wei and the others can bear? Chen Luo couldn't help but secretly think in his heart sigh. Chen Luo has completely lost the idea of counterattack, mainly because he has no ability to counterattack. It's not worth wasting half your life to attack the wooden giant, right? Although Chen Luo's soul skills are pretty good, the distance is limited after all. Before he could hurt those wooden giants, the wooden giant's huge arms had already stretched out towards him and directly pressed him to the ground. He didn't even have the qualifications to rub against him. No, it's like squeezing an ant to death. It would be okay if there was only one wooden giant. Chen Luo felt that he still had some hope, but there were so many wooden giants it's simply despairing. If you want to operate, you must have room to operate. Chen Luo kept running away, while the wooden giant kept chasing after those wooden giants appeared. They seemed to have only one idea, and that was to put Chen Luo to death. The wooden giants are much crazier than the previous gray spiders. The gray spiders will also clean up everything that blocks them, and some will even devour their own kind. The wooden giant only has Chen Luo in his eyes, and wants to destroy Chen Luo and everything related to Chen Luo. Chen Luo even thought that if Xiao Wei and the others had not used gray flames to attack the wooden giants, maybe these wooden giants would not appear and they would always maintain the form of trees. But there is also a more terrifying result, that is, he and Xiao Wei walked into the range of the wooden giants. If the wooden giants all woke up, then he really had no hope at all, not even a chance to escape. After running for a while, Chen Luo found that the wooden giants were still chasing behind him. Strangely enough, Chen Luo was already running hard towards the outskirts of the forest, but in the end, no matter how hard he ran, he couldn't get out of the forest. Fortunately, Chen Luo didn't encounter any new dead things after that. Otherwise, if they were attacked from both sides, it would make people's scalp numb just thinking about it. As for letting 2 dead creatures fight, it is probably unlikely. He is the real target of these dead creatures. The previous gray spider's target was him, and now the wooden giant's target is also him. Is it really just possible to keep running away like this? If you don't escape, you will have no choice but to wait for death. Chen Luo's mood was extremely complicated. He also wanted to change the situation in front of him, but he did not have the absolute strength to change it. This damn feeling of powerlessness is the most tormenting. Chen Luo was really unwilling. He didn't want it to end like this, so he kept running away. The wooden giant kept chasing him, and Chen Luo could only keep running away. There is indeed a relatively safe distance between them, but as soon as Chen Luo stops, this so-called safe distance will be shortened instantly, and Chen Luo will enter an extremely dangerous situation. I don't know how long this situation lasted until Chen Luo got a special feeling. It's the induction of my own undead. Finally got a feeling. Chen Luo's eyes immediately fell on the death bracelet. In the necromancer's space in the death god's bracelet, there were no dead spirits anymore. This special induction did not come from the necromancer's space. Instead, it comes from a rarely used undead spirit, which is rather special, that is, the 1,000-handed demonic vine attached to the death bracelet. That's right, it's the induction released by the 1,000-handed demonic vine. Chen Luo had never ignored the existence of the 1,000-handed demonic vine. When he came to this special illusion, he immediately contacted the 1,000-handed demonic vine, but did not get any response. At this time, he finally received a response from the 1,000-handed demonic vine, and the fire of hope was ignited again. Chen Luo turned around decisively and faced the wooden giants rushing towards him, with no trace of panic or fear on his face. With a flick of his hand, the 1,000-handed demonic vine fell directly from the death bracelet and flew towards the wooden giants. In mid-air, the 1,000-handed demonic vine continued to grow in size, and soon revealed its true form. A pitch-black vine sank into the ground and grew crazily. Moreover, black vines are constantly falling down, and their growth rate can be described as terrifying. The appearance of the thousand-handed demonic vine did not stop the wooden giants. They were still rushing towards Chen Luo. Kill! Chen Luo gave an order, and the thousand-handed demonic vine immediately launched an extremely terrifying offensive against the wooden giant. You must know that among the thousand-handed demonic vine, there are many vine-like plant spirit beasts and undead souls. The black vines that fell off from the thousand-handed demonic vine are them. This is why the thousand-handed demonic vine grows so quickly. All the vines were seen rushing towards the wooden giant crazily. They seemed to have seen the most delicious food, and every vine seemed extremely excited and crazy. In Chen Luo's eyes, a black ocean appeared, and countless vines swept out, instantly submerging all the wooden giants into it. Chi-chi-chi. The wooden giant, which could not be harmed by the gray flames, was easily penetrated by the vines. The brown blood of the wooden giant swayed out, but before it could fall to the ground, it was crazily devoured by black vines. Every black vine that penetrated the wooden giant's body was frantically devouring the nutrients and vitality of the wooden giant. In just a few breaths, all the vitality of the wooden giant was cut off. The wooden giants shriveled up one by one, and were finally completely sucked dry by the black vines. Even their last bodies were ruthlessly devoured by the black vines. Is the thousand-handed demonic vine so powerful? Chen Luo swallowed, completely shocked by the scene in front of him. It turns out that it is not fire that overcomes wood, but wood. Chen Luo could clearly sense that after the thousand-handed demonic vine devoured all the wooden giants, its strength suddenly increased a lot. The thousand-handed demonic vine itself is at least a 5-year-old soul beast. By the way, this thing is not a soul beast at all, but an extremely special creature. 5 years refers to strength. The vine-like to plant soul beasts and undead beings controlled by the thousand-handed demonic vine have all been upgraded to nearly 3 years old, and their overall strength has made a qualitative leap in just an instant. After resolving the battle and taking care of the battlefield, the thousand-handed demonic vine transformed back into a tiny vine and returned to the death bracelet. After swallowing too much energy, the thousand-handed demonic vine needs a certain amount of time to digest and absorb. During this period, Chen Luo could still let the thousand-handed demonic vine fight, because the thousand-handed demonic vine itself was special and could contain extremely terrifying energy, and there was no such thing as a dormant period. With the thousand-handed magic vine, Chen Luo regained his confidence, and the lost sense of security returned again. Chen Luo no longer expected Gong Zhongyang and the others to show up. He was already very satisfied with the thousand-handed demonic vine that he could use. Chen Luo adjusted slightly on the spot, and then headed towards the center of the Death Forest again. With the sheer power available, the Valley of Death feels right around the corner. Chapter 147 Breakthrough Level 5. After a long journey, Chen Luo didn't see any other dead things. But he did not take it lightly and always maintained a high degree of caution. After experiencing the gray spider and the wooden giant, Chen Luo became more cautious. In the process of moving forward, when encountering uncertain situations, the thousand-handed demonic vine will be asked to explore the path to ensure that the road ahead is absolutely safe before continuing forward. If not all the gray spiders were dead, Chen Luo would definitely let them use gray flames to clear a path. There are no obstacles to stop it, which is certainly much better than traveling through a dense forest. The main reason was that the wooden giants cast a shadow on Chen Luo. No one knew whether those trees would turn into wooden giants again in the next second. Most of the trees were pierced by the black vines of the thousand-handed demon vine. Even the bushes were not spared, almost carpet-like path exploration. It didn't take long for Chen Luo to enter here, but in this short period of time, he experienced countless life and death. The feeling of constantly challenging his heartbeat was not pleasant, and he didn't want to experience it again. If there is danger, then solve it in advance. Even if it cannot be solved, at least you can know it in advance, so that you will not be as sudden and passive as when you encountered the wooden giant. It is not difficult to identify the direction in the Forest of Death. Chen Luo has now entered the central area of the Forest of Death. The further you go into the center of the Death Forest, the denser the trees become. This is what Gong Zhongyang said before Chen Luo entered the illusion, and Chen Luo always kept it in mind. At this time, it became a little difficult for Chen Luo to move forward. The gaps between the trees were just big enough for him to pass through alone. The road ahead continued to narrow until it was impossible to pass. The trees seemed to be completely stuck together, like a thick city wall. I really can't imagine how they all grew up and were so tall. The obstruction of trees was nothing in front of Chen Luo. Seeing that he could no longer move forward, Chen Luo stopped being polite and directly turned on his immortality and used the raging flames toward the front. The black flames instantly opened a path for Chen Luo. Even if there were incomplete branches and branches blocking the path, the black flames on Chen Luo's body could easily burn all the obstructions into ashes. Chen Luo has long wanted to use burning flames to open a path, but there are too many trees here. It is not easy to use burning flames to open a path all the time. If you can walk, go, and if you can't walk, take measures. Quickly passing through the tree wall, Chen Luo came to a canyon. If you look at it from a distance, the scene in front of you is very much like a huge gaping hole in the death forest. The canyon below was extremely dark, and the deepest part was completely submerged in darkness. There are tree walls everywhere around you. No matter where you go in the forest of death, if you want to finally get here, you will inevitably have to punch a hole in the tree wall. In front of us is the Valley of Death. Chen Luo spent a lot of effort and finally arrived at his destination. Without too much hesitation, Chen Luo used the thousand-handed magic vine to lead him towards the canyon. Along the way, he didn't encounter any living creatures, whether it was gray spiders or wooden giants. They were all reanimated dead creatures. The canyon we are entering at this time gives people an even more lifeless feeling. However, after entering the canyon, Chen Luo did not feel any discomfort. Instead, he felt extremely comfortable. His whole body relaxed, just like going home. This place does not seem to be as mysterious as Gongzhonggang described. No creature can enter and will die immediately if it enters. He is still alive and well now. The canyon is also filled with extremely rich and special energy. This special energy may not be absorbed by ordinary people, because the energy contains too many impurities in an evil aura. More energy is more, but after absorbing it, I am afraid it will do more harm than good, and the evil aura in it will easily make you lose yourself. But Chen Luo is an exception. He can use this energy for his own use very easily and continuously improve his strength. It's not that he has a special physique, but that he possesses the death technique. There is no need to deliberately control it. The death technique can exclude all impurities. The smell of evil? It can still be cleared away and even turned into part of pure energy. Chen Luo did not continue walking down, found a suitable place, sat down cross-legged on the spot, and started practicing directly. When others come here, they probably don't dare to use their soul power, for fear that they will be affected by the mottled energy and evil atmosphere here. But Chen Luo is different. This is undoubtedly an excellent training ground for him. It is rare to encounter such a good place, so of course it is not to be missed. The intensity of energy deeper in the canyon is the same as here, but it is obvious that the extremely dark environment there is full of unknowns, so it is better to choose to practice in this safe place. Chen Luo didn't care whether he was in an illusion or had entered the real Valley of Death. As long as you can clearly feel that your strength is slowly improving, everything else will not seem so important. The energy here is so rich that it can be described as an exaggeration. The Death God's magic formula is running crazily, and Chen Luo's cultivation speed has increased countless times. Chen Luo is at the peak of level 49, only a thin line away from level. He is absolutely sure that he only needs to practice here for 2 to 3 hours to easily complete the breakthrough. The opportunity was before him, and he had no reason not to seize it. As for the depths of the canyon, he could continue to explore later. After Chen Luo had practiced for a while, the speed of the death technique reached its peak, and the rich power around him crazily entered his body and was absorbed and utilized by him. All the impurities in the energy were removed by the death technique, and all the special evil spirits that existed were transformed into pure energy by the death technique. The cultivation process was smoother than Chen Luo imagined, and the efficiency of cultivation exceeded Chen Luo's imagination. The originally expected breakthrough time of 2 to 3 hours was directly shortened to 1 hour. As soon as Chen Luo entered cultivation, the thousand-handed demonic vine automatically took on the responsibility of protection, and its black vines continued to extend around like a spider web, and many black vines continued to stretch toward the depths of the canyon. The scope of safety is constantly expanding. Once danger is encountered, the thousand-handed demonic vine will immediately resolve it. If it cannot be resolved, it will be able to report it to Chen Luo as soon as possible. An hour passed quickly, and Chen Luo broke through to level, as expected. Level 49 and level, are two completely different levels. Without acquiring a new soul ring, Chen Luo could already feel that his strength had been greatly improved. If he obtains a new soul ring, his strength will undergo a qualitative change again. I feel that everything I encountered before was worth it. The thousand-handed demonic vine has been greatly improved, and my strength has also been raised to level. The rewards from coming to the Valley of Death are already very good. Chen Luo moved his body briefly, and then looked toward the depths of the canyon. It was extremely dark there, and even powerful perceptions could not obtain any useful information. The real exploration has just begun. Chen Luo couldn't help but sigh. Just when Chen Luo wanted to move on and explore the Valley of Death, suddenly, he received feedback from the thousand-handed demonic vine. Chapter 148 is finally here. The message brought by the thousand-handed demonic vine is very direct, that is, there is a strange power in the deepest part of the canyon. That weird power can isolate everything, existing like a barrier. When Chen Luo was practicing, the thousand-handed demonic vine had already reached the depths of the canyon, but when it reached a certain position, it could no longer move forward. After encountering this special situation, thousand-handed demonic vine did not disturb Chen Luo immediately, but silently waited for Chen Luo to finish his training. Strange power. Enchantment. Chen Luo was just a little surprised. He had encountered so many strange things in the Death Forest before, and now that he had come to the Valley of Death, it would be wrong if he stayed calm all the time. You'll find out when you go down. Chen Luo has always been an activist. Under the exploration of the thousand-handed magic vine, no dangerous things have been found in the depths of the canyon yet. They have to go there to explore anyway, so there is no need to waste too much time in the same place. The black vines of the thousand-handed demon vine surrounded Chen Luo's body and continued to extend down the canyon at a moderate speed. There are black vines in front of Chen Luo exploring the path again, and the same is true around him. Whenever he encounters danger, he can get feedback immediately. Chen Luo doesn't need to deal with it, the thousand-handed demonic vine will lead him away. Go to the safest place. With the help of thousand-handed demonic vine, it is very convenient and safe to move forward in the canyon. It's a pity that there are no soul beasts here, otherwise I could just find a suitable target here to get a new soul ring. Only after I obtain the soul ring will I be considered a soul king in the true sense. Only then will my strength be greatly improved and I will be more confident in my mission. I wonder if my current strength can awaken a titled Douluo level existence, especially a titled Douluo with extraordinary strength like Li Feng and Bian Lu. Chen Luo was unsure about Su Xing, Li Feng and Bian Lu. Titled Douluo and Contra Douluo are completely different concepts. When Chen Luo woke up from Yao and Wai Liang Hao, he already felt the extremely obvious gap. Even the gap between Soul Saint and Contra is so huge, let alone the gap between titled Douluo and Contra. Although awakening is easy to use, it also tests Chen Luo's hard power. Only when his strength reaches a certain level can he be able to awaken those powerful dead objects. When Yu Yao and the others woke up, Chen Luo's soul power level was only in his early 40s. Later, he got a certain improvement in the Evil Soul Master's treasure, and then he completed the awakening of the Black Curse. Of course, the Black Curse was not in a complete state at that time. If it were in a complete state, it would be very difficult to awaken the Black Curse, and Chen Luo might even suffer a terrible backlash. Compared with that stage, Chen Luo's soul power has now reached level. He has undoubtedly entered a new level, that is, he has not obtained a soul ring, otherwise it will be a qualitative improvement. It was precisely because he had not obtained the soul ring that Chen Luo felt unsure. If he had the fifth spirit ring, he would have a certain degree of confidence and certainty to attack dead objects at the titled Douluo level. I was a little anxious at the beginning. I should wait until the Soul Master Elite competition is over. At least my soul power level has been raised to level, and I have obtained the fifth soul ring. At this time, Chen Luo also began to reflect on his own imprudence. He, who had always been prudent, actually started taking risks again. Yes, it was another adventure. He had already taken many adventures before. Whether it was going to the Killing City or the Evil Soul Master's treasure, it was full of dangers, but Chen Luo still went there without hesitation. Chen Luo's adventure was indeed filled with some impatience. The main reason was that Chen Luo wanted to get another boost before the end of the Soul Master Elite competition. When the time comes, he will have the confidence to face no matter how complicated the situation is. Before coming, Chen Luo had already made a rough estimate in his mind. He felt that his level 49 strength should be able to awaken the title Douluo. After all, his extremely exaggerated soul power storage is there. Every time he improves to a level, the soul power storage capacity will increase by 1. But after arriving, Chen Luo's mind changed, especially after encountering something weird and terrifying. Chen Luo began to feel unconfident about his own strength. If Chen Luo hadn't broken through level, in the Valley of Death by chance, Chen Luo would have just forced himself to go to the depths of the Valley of Death. The canyon, which could not be seen to the bottom at a glance, was deeper than Chen Luo imagined. It took him half an hour to reach the deepest point. It was dark here and nothing could be seen, but Chen Luo could use his perception to roughly construct a picture of the environment here in his mind. In fact, Chen Luo had already entered the darkness a few minutes ago. It was okay up there, and he could barely see some things clearly, but as soon as he came down, it was like falling into endless darkness, and he could only rely on use your senses to judge everything around you. Chen Luo was now down to earth. Behind him was a smooth and steep rock wall, and directly in front of him was a large open area. As described in the information fed back by the 1,000-hand magic vine, there is indeed a special power here, forming a huge barrier that prevents anything from entering and can only wander around the edge. Walking forward from where Chen Luo was at this time, he would be blocked by an invisible wall for up to 3 meters. Is this the only way we can go? Chen Luo was a little unwilling. He had not completed the special task of the system. He had been looking for it for a long time and had gone through so many hardships before he came here. So he was turned away? The bodies of Li Feng and Bian Lu were most likely inside that special barrier. Everything around them had been explored by the 1,000-handed demonic vine, except for the area in front that had not been explored and could not be explored. Should we rush in forcefully? Or attack the barrier? Just when Chen Luo was about to take some measures to enter the area ahead, a voice suddenly sounded behind him. "Boss, you are finally here." It was Gong Zhongyang's voice, followed by the sound of a black curse. The barrier here has been formed for many years. Instead of being eroded by the years, it has become stronger under the nourishment of the special energy in this canyon. Hearing the voices of his own undead, Chen Luo once again felt a sense of security in his heart. "When did you arrive here?" Chen Luo asked. Gong Zhongyang said, "I just came here not long ago. I saw the 1,000-handed demon vine, so we came together to find it. Have you encountered any strange creatures?" "We encountered them, but they were all extremely weak beings. They posed little threat to us and were easily solved." Gong Zhongyang said with a smile. "I encountered it too and almost died." Chen Luo sighed. Gong Zhongyang's laughter subsided instantly and then became solemn. "It's a pity that we are not by your side, boss. Otherwise we can protect you, boss. You are not with me now." Chen Luo looked helpless. "Huh? Boss, what do you mean by this?" Gong Zhongyang was confused. Chen Luo sighed again. "We are not in the same place at all. Impossible." Chapter 149 Rendezvous. People who are clearly standing together are actually in two places. Chen Luo also thought it was impossible, but the fact was placed in front of Chen Luo and he had to accept it. The best proof of whether Gong Zhongyang and Black Curse will meet with him is the special connection between him and them. Compared to not having any sense before, Chen Luo already had some sense with Gong Zhongyang and Heiju at this time. But this feeling is very weak, as if they are thousands of miles apart. This strange situation is enough to explain a lot of things. In this absolute darkness, the eyes can't play any role. Everything relies on induction to depict the picture in the mind. Chen Luo did see the existence of Gong Zhongyang and Heiju, but the actual situation was that they were not on the same place. In order to prove this, Chen Luo took the initiative to rush towards Gong Zhongyang and Heikers. He quickly arrived at the location where Gong Zhongyang and Heikers were, and then passed directly through their bodies. This most direct action proved that Chen Luo's judgment was correct. Gong Zhongyang and Heiju must have sensed all this, and they were all extremely shocked. "What's going on?" Gong Zhongyang's surprised voice sounded, and he immediately followed Chen Luo's example and rushed towards Chen Luo. The result was still the same. Gong Zhongyang passed through Chen Luo's body. They both really existed, but they just couldn't collide together. The situation of Chen Luo and the three of them at this time is like Gong Zhongyang and Heiju are in the same place, and Chen Luo is in another place. Although the three of them are together, it seems like two places overlap. They are together, but in fact they are not connected. They are just together in a very special way. It can be described as phantoms. In front of Chen Luo, Guangzhongyang and He Curse existed like phantoms, and the same was true for Chen Luo in front of Guangzhongyang and He Curse. Boss, give me some time and I'll use some means to see if I can come to you. Black Curse was much calmer than Guangzhongyang. While Guangzhongyang was still thinking about verifying the true situation at the moment, Black Curse directly started thinking of solutions. There was no other emotion in his voice and he looked very calm. It is good. Chen Luo nodded and waited silently. There is no doubt that only when Guangzhongyang and Black Curse come to his side can he be truly safe. Thousand-handed magic vines alone are not enough. Especially when facing that special barrier, the arrival of Guangzhongyang and Black Curse is definitely a big help. Although thousand-handed demonic vine made a huge improvement when they encountered the wood giant, they were still far behind Guangzhongyang and Black Curse, and were not at the same level at all. It is unrealistic to rely on the thousand-handed demonic vine to break through the barrier. Soon the Black Curse began to take action, and Chen Luo was able to detect all these changes. The surrounding energy began to become violent and continued to converge towards the Black Curse. A faint bloody light appeared next to Black Curse, and a very special bloody magic circle appeared under him. Guangzhongyang, come here quickly. The moment the bloody magic circle was formed, the sound of the Black Curse immediately sounded. Chen Luo could clearly hear the joy in Black Curse's voice. He thought that Black Curse was successful. Okay, Senior Black Curse. Guangzhongyang immediately entered the bloody magic circle and stood with Black Curse. The bloody light lingering around Black Curse dispersed to Guangzhongyang's body, and then became brighter and brighter, completely surrounding the two of them. At this time, Chen Luo could already see the scene directly, and no longer needed to use induction to describe it in his mind. Under Chen Luo's gaze, the blood-colored light became more and more dazzling. After a while, it became impossible to look directly at it, but soon the blood-colored light disappeared instantly, accompanied by the auras of Guangzhongyang and Heiju. Before Chen Luo could react, the bloody magic circle appeared next to him, and the bloody light also appeared again. The blood-colored light that reappeared was extremely dazzling, and quickly faded, leaving only a few faint wisps of red light until it disappeared. The blood-colored magic circle still existed, and the figures of Guangzhongyang and Heiju quietly appeared on it. After the two of them appeared, the blood-colored magic circle also disappeared. Teleport in place? Of course it's not teleportation in place. Guangzhongyang and Heiju have truly arrived at Chen Luo's side, and the special connection between Chen Luo and them has become increasingly clear. Boss, I succeeded. The sound of a Black Curse sounded, and then a snap of fingers was heard. The bloody light instantly enveloped everything here, and all the darkness faded away. Chen Luo directly saw Guangzhongyang and Heiju, and their faces were full of surprise. How did you do it? Chen Luo asked immediately. This is the Evil Soul Master's teleportation circle. You need to pay a certain price. If you mark a target, you can teleport directly to the opponent's location. Black Curse responded calmly, and then briefly introduced the special magic circle. The marked target must have an absolute connection with itself, otherwise it cannot be teleported. The absolute connection is the connection between you and us, boss. You used your special ability to resurrect us. The absolute connection has been established the moment we wake up. This teleportation circle was taught to me by my last master, but I rarely use it. Fortunately, I haven't forgotten it. The connection between me and my previous master is nothing compared to the connection between me and you, the boss. It's not on the same level at all. It is precisely because of such a strong connection as the basis for transmission that the transmission is so smooth. After saying the Black Curse, before Chen Luo could speak, Guangzhongyang immediately asked, Senior Black Curse, why didn't you use this teleportation circle earlier, so that we could meet the boss earlier? Black Curse said, this kind of magic circle cannot be used casually. It must reach a certain opportunity before it can be used. I also want to use it sooner, but the key is that it cannot be used. The special situation we just encountered, even if it was an opportunity, I just had the mentality of giving it a try, but I didn't expect it to succeed. Then what price did you pay, Senior? Guangzhongyang then asked, looking very concerned. The Black Curse said, we will suffer a huge negative impact, and our overall strength will drop by 20.00%, which will last for 3 days. Because the boss gave us a special body, these negative impacts are directly eliminated. Guang's Hongyang immediately became energetic and immediately revealed his true purpose. Senior Black Curse, can you teach me this teleportation circle? If I master it, I can come to you as soon as possible when encountering any special situation. Come to the boss's side, no problem, let's wait until this matter is over. Black Curse said. Guang's Hongyang smiled excitedly, then I'll thank Senior Black Curse in advance. Black Curse said calmly, we are all one family. We don't talk about two families. Yes, haha. Guang's Hongyang smiled and nodded. Chen Luo had been listening silently. As soon as he heard words such as the Evil Soul Master's array, he immediately thought of Bai Chen's memories. You have to find some time to take a closer look. As the founder of the Evil Soul Master, Bai Chen left behind many good things. It's a good thing to be able to meet up. Let's figure out how to get in together. Chen Luo looked at the barrier in front of him and said calmly. Chapter 150 The Demise of the Nightmare Centipede. Under the blood-red light, Chen Luo, Guang's Hongyang, and Black Curse all had some blood-red brilliance on their bodies. The Black Curse itself has a blood-colored appearance, and now it looks more intense, like blood, which may drip at any time. In front of the three of them, there was an extremely empty area. On the surface, there was nothing blocking it, but in fact there was an invisible wall in front of them, blocking everything out. Just now Guang's Hongyang had tried to enter by force, but was directly bounced back by the wall. Regardless of any physical attack, the result is the same. If it is an energy-type attack, it will be swallowed directly by the wall. Guang's Hongyang even activated his martial soul avatar and controlled the enlarged version of the demon-slaying sword to rush forward. When the demon-slaying sword reached the location of the wall, it stopped for an instant, as if a pair of invisible hands were holding the demon-slaying sword. Guang's Hongyang increased his strength, but the entire demon-slaying sword exploded out with even stronger force, and finally sank into the steep stone wall, exploding a huge hole. Guang's Hongyang spurted out a mouthful of blood, suffered huge backlash. Black Curse waved his hand, and the bloody energy blocked all the rocks and dust from the explosion. Then he saw a bloody sword appear in Black Curse's hand, and his aura instantly rose to its peak. At the same time, a sense of oppression that was almost that of a peak Douluo erupted from Black Curse. Black Curse was seen holding a big sword in his hand and slashing forward with force. Blood-red arcs of light flew toward the wall with terrifying power. When the bloody arc of light enters a certain area, it disappears directly without any violent reaction, as if it was submerged into a black hole. This place is really evil. After trying many times without success, Guang's Hongyang finally couldn't help but say, it's already very troublesome coming here, but it will be even more troublesome after the result comes. In my impression, this place was never like this before. What was it like before? Chen Luo asked. Guang's Hongyang said, I have never been inside here, but it is definitely not that troublesome outside. After the fog dissipated, everything returned to normal. The probability of encountering special circumstances is extremely low. When so many of us came, only 1 or 2 people were infected. How could it be like us this time, who came as many as we came? By the way, where are the Hell Demon Spider and the Earth King? Speaking of all being hit, Guang's Hongyang immediately thought of his fellow soul beasts. They all encountered the fog together. As a result, only the 3 of them were reunited now, and those dead soul beasts were missing. Chen Luo seemed very calm. They are fine, they are all in the illusion, and they have also gained some benefits. I can already sense their aura. They are approaching us. It will probably take a while. Black Curse said, I tried to bring them back. After saying that, Black Curse once again activated the teleportation circle he used before. After the bloody magic circle and bloody light appeared, Black Curse disappeared directly. Chen Luo and the Hell Demon Spider are the most direct contacts, while Black Curse and the Hell Demon Spider only have a weak connection. This weak connection is still based on the fact that Black Curse and Hell Demon Spider belong to Chen Luo's undead souls, and it was Chen Luo who gave them the connection. Is Senior Black Curse so decisive? Guang's Hongyang was a little surprised. Chen Luo looked very calm. Believe him, he won't do anything uncertain. After waiting for a moment, the bloody magic circle reappeared, and when the Black Curse returned again, there were also the Hell Demon Spider and the King of the Earth, but the Nightmare Centipede was missing. In response, Black Curse immediately said, the Nightmare Centipede has died. Okay. Chen Luo nodded lightly, not surprised. As long as you encounter strange existences in the mist, It is an extremely dangerous situation. Being able to survive in such dangerous situations is already very good. Chen Luo has experienced a feeling of being on the line between life and death. The calmness that Black Curse and the others said must have experienced some risks. As for the Hell Demon Spider and the others, they are naturally not immune. Casualties are extremely normal. The returning Hell Demon Spider and the Earth King were covered in injuries, and it could be seen from their bodies what kind of tragic situation they had experienced. The Nightmare Centipede is the weakest dead soul beast currently. The Pink Queen and the Earth King are symbiotic and cannot be counted among them. The current Pink Queen is almost 3,000 years old, but the size has not changed. The Pink Queen is the fate of the Earth King. Of course the Earth King protects her well, but the Nightmare Centipede is not so lucky. The demise of the Nightmare Centipede is obviously a loss for Chen Luo, but it is not a big loss. Chen Luo originally planned to directly erase the Nightmare Centipede's intelligence and throw it into the skull ring. It should indeed be eliminated. After the things here are dealt with, we can use the memory of the Hell Spider or the Earth King to see how the Nightmare Centipede disappeared. As you said, boss, both the Hell Spider and the Earth King have gained a lot of benefits, and their strength has been greatly improved. When the Hell Spider and the Earth King appeared, Black Curse's hands they fell on the Hell Demon Spider and the Earth King respectively, and they had been withdrawn at this time. It has improved by more than 1 or 2 points. The surface improvement is very impressive. There is still a lot of energy in their bodies that has not been fully absorbed. Chen Luo said calmly. Before the Hell Demon Spider and the Earth King were brought over by the Black Curse, Chen Luo had already sensed the change in their strength. However, because he was in 2 places at that time, the sense was not very clear. At this time, they all came in front of him. Chen Luo can very clearly sense the terrifying energy contained in their bodies. Seeing that the Hell Demon Spider and the Earth King were seriously injured, he directly took them back to the dead space. Being in the necromantic space can speed up the recovery of their injuries, and can also help them quickly absorb the terrifying energy in their bodies. It is estimated that after they recover from their injuries, the energy in their bodies will have been absorbed, and by then they will have at least increased by 10,000 years of strength. If an ordinary soul beast is cultivating, if he wants to improve his strength for 1 year, he doesn't know how much effort and time it will take, and he will also have some physical limitations. But not all soul beasts can continuously improve their strength. Some soul beasts are born as soul beasts for 10 years, and they can only be soul beasts for 10 years in their lifetime. Chen Luo's dead soul beast has broken these restrictions. They can continuously improve their strength, and the speed of strength improvement is terrifying. The Hell Demon Spider is the best proof. After the Hell Spider and the King of Earth were taken into the dead space by Chen Luo and the others faced the barrier in front of them again. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.